probably as good as it's going to get. I'm not going to stream for as long as I normally do this morning, but I figured I'd do a little while. Just come through, say hey, hang out for a little bit with everybody. Not too long, but yeah, I had some chance, still off again, and I know I've been off a lot recently, but every time I get to, it's been really nice to talk with you guys and have these little moments together. And also kind of wanted to touch back on just a little bit more about what I talked about yesterday as far as fragrances are concerned. Let's see if I can't get it. Yeah, that's a much better angle. As always, I'm going to wait just a minute for you guys to drop through, but you guys are more than welcome to ask questions as we hang out and spend time together. And going to try to also make sure these things are like sensory appropriate for you guys. But back again with my fragrance collection. I'm Andrew Lane, if you guys don't know, aka Andrew Douglas Lane or Douglas Moon Fragrance. I review fragrances if you've never seen the channel before. As you can see, this is my collection if you're new here. If not, welcome back. Thank you for being here. And as you can see, I've got a lot to talk about. If you've got any questions about fragrances, please feel free to do so. But as you can probably see by the title, yesterday's stream was mostly touching on designer fragrances in comparison to niche fragrances. I have the title that designer's better. Now, again, they're not actually objectively better. It's a subjective thing, as all fragrances are. But as I was really rolling over my Paul Gaultiers and pretty much Sauvage by Dior, Versace Eros, and all the Versace line, it kind of really spoke to me that at the end of the day, designer fragrances are definitely a lot more user-friendly for most people. And in that kind of sense, I think of them as kind of being a little bit better. Because for most people's noses, and that's why designers are designed the way they are, that for most people's noses, the average person, mass appealing, as they say, these are going to be effective. These are going to be calming and appealing and pleasant. Whereas niche fragrances, like the video that I've got uploading today, is about Amouage's Interlude. The reason why designers are better is because more synthetics and seem to last longer. Good morning, Starcan. Thank you for being back. Thank you for your good luck. I appreciate that. Redbeard, happy to see you. And I agree with you, Redbeard. See, that's the thing. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get across to people, is that they're not like objectively better in the sense that for every single person, they're going to agree that they're better. But I saw a video the other day that was talking about niche fragrances, or like a fragrance collector's journey, about how they start off with just like one single thing, like a Dior Sauvage parfum or a Dior Sauvage eau de toilette. And the next thing you know, they start gathering more and more. Then they find themselves in the niche world. And then after making a crazy collection, like I saw this video, they're talking about that basically, that you end up kind of coming back to appreciating your designer fragrances. And it was funny because, as usual in life, that popped up in my suggestions when that's actually happening to me. As you can see, anybody who's new here, I've got a lot of exposure to fragrances over time. And also today, I actually think I'm going to be picking up, getting my own bottle of Paradise Garden. So I got Le Beau Le Parfum by Paul Gaultier. But my wife is so in love with Paradise Garden, I've decided I think I might have to get it because she thinks that might be her current favorite fragrance in the world. Again, you also got to realize that favorite fragrances are subject to change. Yeah, I got that one. Absolutely, Redbeard. And honestly, Paradise Garden is a fantastic choice. It really blew my mind. But today, and anybody who comes through is more than welcome to please go check it out. I've got a video uploading comparing this one. This is Amouage's Interlude 53 versus Interlude, the original Interlude Man, to see if they're actually good to go together, if you should have both or just one. And I really got to thinking recently, like, I've worn Interlude out in public. And before I even purchased Interlude, which is a very popular niche fragrance, I saw people on Reddit chat saying, you got to be careful with fragrances like this because, you know, some people are like, I never even wear it at the house. I just wear it for myself because I love it. And it's because a lot of people aren't necessarily going to be taken by this kind of fragrance. And to be honest, it's true. I wore this a couple of times over the past few months. And for the most part, a lot of people around me actually mentioned my smell, but instead of giving compliments, they said it was a little too much for them. I actually had a few people ask if I could just please keep my distance. Like, I didn't smell bad, but it wasn't necessarily appealing for them. It was a little too much. And I barely sprayed any on. It wasn't just because of the strength of this fragrance. It's because, again, it's niche. It's very distinct. And most people's noses, especially depending on where you're from, aren't trained for this kind of stuff. Real quick, I got an old bottle Interlude. Mine is the Oman version. Well, I don't know. So this one come from Oman. Definitely, most of the ones that I personally have, because they were also discounters as well, come from Oman. But I haven't gotten like a very brand new updated edition. But yeah, like I was saying, it's pretty much tough because you really get into fragrances, you want to have niche fragrances because they smell good to you personally the more your nose develops. But at the end of the day, designers are always going to be what I come back to. Of course, not every designer is made equal. Obviously, to be real, a lot of more popular designers, like certain Acqua di Gio formulations, certain ones by, I don't want to say too many names, but like Givenchy or Prada, are going to be nice enough smelling, but super basic for the price, and they're not going to necessarily perform as good as you might want them to. But then again, they're not that expensive. But in and of themselves, from Jean Paul, you've got Chanel Blue, Versace Eros, Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Eau Intense. These are classic fragrances, extremely strong, very long lasting, and they also just smell so friendly that every one of the ones I just mentioned, I've never worn them and not have at least one person appreciate them, even if it's somebody close to me. So I just encourage people, if you're getting into the fragrance game, don't get too over the top when it comes to wanting to collect fragrances, especially buying a lot of Middle Eastern dupes, which for the most part these days is kind of like a measuring contest, like a competition to see who can get the most like best dupe of a niche fragrance. Let's say best designers, Male Elixir, Prada L'Homme. You know, I will say Bleu de Chanel, I agree with. Male Elixir, again, fragrances are subjective, but me personally, I am not the biggest fan of the Prada L'Homme line. The only reason I say that is those scent notes just don't speak to me that much. I like a Luna Rosa Ocean, and I think Prada Carbon, I think it is Carbon or something like that. There's a black one as well. Those are pretty decent, but the whole Prada line has never really spoke to me that much. I did have Ocean at one point in time, but I gave it away to a friend of mine. He was a plumber, and for some reason that one smelled very working man type of fragrance. There's nothing wrong with that, but it smelled very like traditional guy who works with his hands, maybe a mechanic or something. I would actually say specifically if somebody was interested in that type of vibe, Prada Ocean would probably be a good choice for you. Good morning, Pratham. Thank you for being here. But yeah, as usual, any of you guys got any questions? I'm not going to be streaming as long as usual today, but then again, I always say that. Next thing you know, we talk forever. But if anybody has questions about fragrances, who's new here, who's never spoke with me before, you're more than welcome to ask. To anybody who's been here before, I'm sorry if there's ever any like massive amounts of repetition, but that's the nature of the beast. What do you think of the JPG behind? If you're talking about these are some of my favorite fragrances in the entire world. A lot of people who are usual to the channel know that Le Male, the Parfum, I always have an interesting, like, don't really know how to properly say this because I know it's French. And I've heard people say Le Male, and then I've heard people say Le Male. I think I'm going to start saying Le Male because I want to like say it properly, especially since it's my favorite. But Le Male, the Parfum, and then Le Male Elixir are my absolute like favorites in the entire world. So obviously I love them. They're 10 out of 10 fragrances to me as well. It's not redundant to have both because this one is much more on that honey, tobacco, tonka bean type of feel, whereas this is a lot more leaning towards the iris lavender vibe. And I prefer them both for just different days, but you can wear them either one year round. It's the first, I'm French. Le Male, is that what you're saying? Le Beau EDP. So this is definitely, it is an EDP, even though it's Le Parfum, just like this one. So I'm pretty sure, at least. I want to be correct. Yeah, it is. I'm not sure what it is about Jean Paul Gaultier, but when they make a Le Parfum, they usually are just an eau de parfum intense. Both of these are. So Le Beau Le Parfum is one of my wife's favorite fragrances of all time. It has that beautiful, people say pina colada, but when I think of pina colada, for some reason, I always get in my mind a much more strong a much more strong pineapple feel. But instead, you get a little bit more of a nice, sweet, mild pineapple-y, mostly coconut vibe going over the top. But it's like the most beautiful beach feel, which, if you don't know, Hodlodge did their own version, Hodlodge Island. But as wonderful as they did at this, it still doesn't have that massive density that the original Le Beau Le Parfum has. How are you feeling about the Elixir Absolu? By the way, just wanted to say again, thank you guys so much for being here. If you can't tell, maybe you can, maybe not. I am a rambler, but this morning in particular, my mind's a little bit all over the place, and that's why I definitely wanted to come hang out with you guys and have fun because my grandma is doing a little bit worse than she was even before. She's still here with us, but she's definitely not doing so good, and my aunt's not doing good because of that. So hanging out with you guys is definitely a wonderful thing for me. But with that being said, about my personal stuff, I think that the Le Male Elixir Absolu, I come and go with it because it has a plum note added to the original, and it has a little bit more of a twist on the Elixir DNA. I like it. I really do. I love it. I would say, but to me, it's more like a 9.1, whereas these right here are all 10 out of 10s for me. This is more of a 9.1 out of 10 because it's like this version with, like I said, it's just the same DNA, a little bit more plum added to it, or just plum in general, but the vibe to it is more youthful, maybe. And I know a lot of people think that the original Male Elixir is overly sweet. For some people, it is. For people like me, my wife, we absolutely love it. I never get sick of it. This one has a more youthful feel, even though I've seen some people try to claim it's more mature. It definitely isn't. It's got a little bit more of a youthful feel to me personally. And after a couple of hours, I do start to get a little bit tired of the vibe that comes from this one. Whereas I don't get sick of these. But then again, that's my opinion. I've also heard people who say they love this one way more, the Absolute. So it's kind of up to you. You got to test it. But I will give it this. Compare it, just like the rest of these, the performance for this is all day. So for the price you pay, the performance, you can't go wrong. But like I said, having already had Le Beau Le Parfum ever since it came out, I'm super excited to actually get Paradise Garden. I've already smelled it, but I don't own a bottle, and I'm really looking forward to it. The first Le Beau created is called Le Beau Male. MFK made it before Quentin Beach took it over. That's really cool. Thank you for letting me know that. That's actually something I did not know. This is going to be my first purchase. Recommend some 3 fragrance collection, including Le Beau. So if you want that to be like in the bundle, I would say, because if that's the case, I don't know if you want something that's like that plus variation or that plus things in a similar vein. If that's the case, I would say Le Beau Le Parfum. Then I would say recently, Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Capri in Love. This has been really special to me because compared to the original Light Blue, which is fun because the notes, they come on the box, which I wish more boxes actually did this. So this is the original eau de parfum. This is the eau intense. So it says lemon, aquatic note with clary sage, but it's very strong because even, sorry about that, even on the original, it has a rosemary feel to it. And it's very special because not too many things have that kind of a spice vibe. But this one, the new Capri in Love, is actually patchouli, fig, and black pepper. This one's so nice. The new Capri in Love is patchouli fig with a black pepper over the top. I keep comparing it to like a much more luxurious, more mature version of Dylan Blue. This does not smell like Dylan Blue, but if you get what I mean, Dylan Blue is a very rich black pepper scent, and that's kind of the key notes going on there. It's like a blend of black and I think pink pepper. But this one has black pepper at the top, but because of the fig, because of the patchouli, this is just such a very powerful fragrance. It's an eau de parfum. So if you were going to start a little tropical, like beachy collection, and you were going to feature Le Beau Le Parfum in it, I would say add Dolce & Gabbana's new Capri in Love. It's fantastic. It actually does last unusually for like Dolce & Gabbana fragrances, just like similar to the Light Blue Eau Intense. It lasts all day. So that's just me. Do fragrances go bad over time or get better? So that's a good question, actually, because at one point in time, due to misinformation that I received, I used to tell people that it was really good to have older fragrances because in some way they age like fine wine. This is something that I was personally told by somebody who actually has their neck in the game. And I realized later, though, that they worded it in a way that I misunderstood them. So to be more specific, fragrances have like a hit or miss when it comes to the idea of the concept of an expiration date. So fragrances you can have for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, even longer. There's perfumery that has been found that's like extremely old, still stands to the day that it was discovered. The issue about it is how is it stored? So you want to keep your fragrances in a place that doesn't get too hot. I believe for some reason or another, they say you want to be in a place that doesn't get very humid. You want them to stay in a good environment. I wouldn't recommend, you see people on TikTok and stuff showing you to put your fragrances in like a freezer or something, or the refrigerator. I personally wouldn't recommend that, but that's just me. But keeping them somewhere that's not exposed to sunlight, keeping them somewhere that's not exposed to like natural heat and things like that, and just kind of keeping them room temperature or even cool if possible, but not too cold, will preserve them. But the only thing that really happens with fragrances over time, and this is really up to you if this bothers you or not, is that the top notes, the very initial top notes that's built into them by the perfumer, begin to evaporate from the fragrance itself. So over time, basically you start to get where like you spray it straight on and you mostly only get that center and base note. Sometimes even after a longer period of time, you only really start to have the base note left behind. So any top notes you would get from Light Blue Eau Intense or Le Beau Le Parfum, if I was to leave it in the closet for like 20 years, when I come back to it, the fragrance is still going to be there. It's still going to have its impact, necessarily speaking, but a lot of what started it off and made you kind of go through the journey is going to be a little bit evaporated and gone. So yes, they wear off. They do expire in a way, but in and of itself, the baseline stays for an extremely long time. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I've had a fragrance for 5 years and it's not good anymore. So fragrances usually do better over time if you store them in a dark, cool place. Absolutely. More modern, just using 3 ingredients now, knowing there are more in them for some reason. I definitely agree with that. Something for every day. Hold on, I'm trying to keep up real quick. Something for every day as a go-to, something date for parties, or something just a compliment monster. So again, that's exactly why I titled this video the way I did, because what gets compliments is going to be something appealing, something that people are going to love. Again, certain niche perfumery like Xerjoff and Axis and things like that, even Herba Pura, have garnered me personally compliments, which you also have to remember compliments are very rare with fragrances. Again, people want to convince you everything you wear will do the trick, but they won't. But I can tell you, as much as people don't want to hear this, Sauvage Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, especially the Parfum edition for me personally, any of the Jean Paul Gaultier line, Bleu de Chanel Parfum, or basically literally any of the Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum. Obviously, the higher concentration, the more it's going to last. But Versace Eros, any of those lines, Eros Energy, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Intense, these are fragrances for sure that are perfect for every day, decent enough price range for something that you can wear. They're going to have good performance, but at the same time, isn't going to break the bank. But I have personally, these are the few things really that anybody's ever actually said something to me. I will say Le Beau Le Parfum, Sauvage Parfum, Eros Parfum, and then Le Male Elixir and Le Male Parfum. These are the main fragrances that for me personally, as I've worn them, and as you can see, for anybody new here, I've worn quite a bit. These are the main ones that I've actually had anyone tell me, hey, you smell really nice. And they can smell you. You don't realize how strong they are. You can go nose blind to some of these. The Elixir, not so much. The Le Beau Le Parfum, not so much. But a lot of these you can sort of go nose blind to. But even the Eau Intense, I've had somebody from like across the way from me as I'm ordering food tell me that they like it. So have you ever tried Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme? I've tried it, but I do not own it. It made an Italian formulation from the 90s. So I personally do not have Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. But when I was younger, I have a brother, an older brother. I'm 32. He's like 44 or something like that. And he actually introduced me originally to first Davidoff Cool Waters. And then he had all the original Dolce & Gabbanas you can get your hands on. And that kind of is what inspired me towards the direction for masculine fragrances. Before that, I only was introduced to my mom's fragrances like DKNY, Be Delicious, Marc Jacobs, Daisy, stuff like that. But my brother introduced me to the Dolce & Gabbanas, and I do know that he had that one as well as, what else did he have? He also had Versace Eau Fraiche, or no, Blue Jeans. My brother had Versace Blue Jeans, which was a very interesting fragrance. Does nose blind being permanent to a cologne? I'll get back to that in just a second. I want to make sure I'm keeping up with you guys. Fragrances in there. Oh, good morning, Love Bug. Thank you for being here. Acting again, but can you turn your hat sideways? Definitely, I got it backwards for you this morning, but it hurts my head if I do it sideways. I could probably just take it off. We'll see. But let me see. Anyone can go nose blind. He's absolutely right. Good to see you again, PNDS. Thank you for being here. So as usual, I'm just answering questions. My head's got a little bit more brain fog today, but like I said, hanging out with you guys kind of brightens the mood during some tough times that's going on with family. So super happy to have you guys here. And if you got anything to ask, if you're new, please feel free to do so about fragrances. I'm more than happy to answer anything. But to anybody who's back, very thankful to see you. And I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. And as you can see by the title, we're talking about mostly designer fragrances, but anything involving niche or what have you, please feel free to ask. With that being said, so you said about nose blind. So nose blind is not something, olfactory fatigue is the more professional term, but it's the same thing. It isn't permanent. It's not something that lasts forever. It's just something that you kind of have to allow your olfactory system to, because what happens is basically you become accustomed to a fragrance. And when you do that, when your nose becomes fatigued to those profiles, to those chemicals that make up a certain fragrance composition, you'll start to not notice it anymore, even though it's still active, still prevalent. And scent is something that our system has to kind of recognize, just like kind of like gas. When there's a gas leak, you're not necessarily, I'm not professional, I'm just telling you what I've been told by our engineers at my job. But basically, when there's a gas leak, for instance, they have added the fragrance that's there, like that, what is it, sulfates or something like that. But they've added that thing that comes through and gives it that rotten egg smell, so that you know there's a gas leak, because the gas itself, I think we don't recognize that smell. It's kind of like your nose identifies things that it does, things that it doesn't, but for different reasons with fragrance chemicals and materials. we become adjusted to them and they start to fade away after a while to what we recognize with our brain. After you take a break and you smell other things, eventually you get to the point where you can smell them again. But certain fragrance notes in specific, based off of you as an individual, then again, some things for everybody, like citrus notes, but even certain ones for you as a person can kind of wear off quickly, and it can take you a while to get them back. That's why when you see me spray, I suggest doing the shoulders and then as well the pulse points to the side, so they will burn off and go to the side, but it won't be constantly coming up straight to your nose. That's a good way for you to be able to continue to maintain the smell of it to yourself without a constant feed, which makes you go nose blind to it a lot more quickly. So let's see. Good to be here. I'm thankful for you for being here, buddy. I appreciate it. Double tap screen. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys who come through and take the time to ask these questions, take the time to hang out when I get a little time to do some streaming. So it means a lot to me, because it has been a crazy couple of weeks. Have you heard the rumor of the smell of just cologne and a bit of BO? I haven't really heard that, but I do know, I guess it's kind of subjective. Then again, so here's one thing about certain niche perfumery as well, is scent is not just something that's pleasing, like floral aromas, lavender, citruses and stuff. We as humans, although a lot of people maybe don't like to talk about this, but if you get into the world of perfumery, it's kind of important to know this. We like smells that are comfortable, and we can become comfortable and enjoy the smell of people that we're close to, even if they are what we call stinky smells or animalic or natural human smells. So with that being said, if you think about if you've ever had a partner, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, if you've got children, what have you, it's not strange, even though some people might want to make it weird. It's not strange if you get used to their sweat smell. Maybe their BO smell. It just depends. Some people like their, just to give you an anecdote, as TMI and maybe silly as this is going to sound, a longtime old friend of mine once asked me, hey, after me and my girlfriend that I just started dating exercise, we go to the gym. When we get in the car, we're a little sweaty, a little musty or whatever. I really like smelling, especially her smell or whatever. Is that weird? And I was like, no, it's not weird. Some people think it is, but it isn't. It's just human nature. And it's kind of how we identify just like the natural aromas from people that we love. Me, myself, when I wake up in the morning after me and my wife slept all night, if like maybe she sweat a little bit, the smell of her hair, to other people, maybe it's not like the best thing in the world, but to me personally, I love it. So not just any women's going to like your BO, so don't take that. But if you get close to somebody, they might enjoy the composition. But there's also been niche perfumery made to kind of represent or recreate that type of scent profile for people. Let's see. Are you David Cross, brother? I love, first of all, I am not related to David Cross. That would have been really awesome. I love Arrested Development and David Cross. I keep hearing that I look like different people, especially whenever I gain or lose weight. So I would love to have been related to David Cross. So that would have been really cool. I don't know if you guys, anybody else has ever seen Arrested Development, but it's one of me and my wife's favorite shows of all time. I love Dr. Squatch Coconut Castaway Dio. I haven't smelled that personally. I actually don't know what to wear because I have bad eczema and my skin reacts to everything. And I know people say don't wear deodorant with aluminum or whatever, but if I don't, I've discovered that I still end up stinking, and I don't want to stink. I'm very anti-stinky, but then I get rashes and stuff. So unfortunately, I wear Old Spice deodorant, but you know, it is what it is. I've tried all the natural stuff and all that, and it just doesn't seem to work. Within like 15 minutes, I smell like an onion patch. So it's natural, and I break out. Do you wear cologne every day? Lovebug? I actually do. Me personally, I know that some of my favorite people, like perfumers that I look up to and stuff, they themselves don't necessarily do so. If I had certain raw materials, I probably necessarily wouldn't. I tried to get my hands on some Rose Absolute, which I did, but turns out most of the ones you can get for a cheaper price range have been filtered through a metallic process, I believe it is, or some type of chemical process, which actually strips away the natural fragrance, except for very little. So that didn't go the way I thought it would. But some of my favorite perfumers that I look up to will wear things like just pure oud if they can afford it, but it's extremely expensive, or put on just a little bit of like straight up Rose Absolute, something along those lines, like pure lavender oil, just to have a nice natural scent on their days of not wanting to wear a serious fragrance. And that's perfectly fine. I myself got a highly concentrated rose perfume oil. So it's a roll on. So I roll it on whenever I don't really want to wear something like big time. But I love my fragrances so much. I would say for the most part, on a normal day's basis, I do wear fragrance every day. On the other hand, if you work in a closed office, or you don't have the ability to just throw away money on like fragrances or have a collection like I do, I don't necessarily recommend it. Or get something cheap like Nautica Voyage or something along those lines that you can just wear on a regular basis. Maybe Davidoff Cool Water to wear to work. Something simple. Or just do like 2 sprays to save yourself a little bit of money. Who makes Rose Absolute? So technically speaking, if you was to go on Amazon or just Google YouTube or something, a lot of companies do. So Rose Absolute is just extracted from the rose. But it's like I said, it depends on the process at which it was done. Kind of dictates if it maintains its smell or not. And it's more expensive, apparently, to get your hands on one that was done a little more naturally versus the chemical processing that kind of filters out a lot of its naturally occurring aroma. So I will say this, even if it's missing that aroma, it's been excellent for, instead of like eczema lotions, if you have skin problems, it's been very good for me just to use straight up Rose Absolute on my skin. But it's missing that smell in a weird way. Without the full density of the natural aroma and its sweetness, it almost kind of has like a mildewy smell to it, but it's still pretty nice. Good morning, Zypherion. Thank you for being here. Emmy to Astra, Dr. Squatch doesn't do that. I might have to try that out. I've tried Dr. Squatch's soaps and stuff before, but they're a little bit more pricey, I guess you could say, although they are popping up at Walmarts these days. And even if it doesn't look like I'm a cheapo because they got all these perfumes, I can be a little bit on the cheap side, depending on what it is that I'm buying. As you guys have probably noticed, I wear almost the same handful of clothes every time I do these streams. My wife says that people are going to start thinking I'm a cartoon character. Do you not use body sprays if you have so much cologne? Do you mean like just regular body sprays that come in like almost the Febreze looking thing? I know from stores like Lush, they sell those. I've never really used those too much myself personally. Like I said, I tend to stick with either of these on a day-to-day basis, and it really depends on what kind of mood that I'm in overall. A lot of times, like as you see, I hold Sauvage Parfum a lot. I have a lot of fragrances, but I want to be like you. Zypherion, I don't know if you do want to be like me or not. It just depends. But hey, I am happy that you are you, and I hope that you continue to be like you. But then again, I don't know if you mean like having all these fragrances. If so, best of wishes to you, because this is not the easiest thing to acquire unless like something meant just to work out for you that you can do so. But try to save your money if you can. How are your colognes organized? To be honest with you, to be completely honest with you, there's not a really good method to this. So my wife was just talking to me yesterday about like, how do I have it set up? Because she doesn't even know. Other than me displaying the Jean Pauls right here, they're normally in the back. But pretty much up top is a good chunk. Other than these initios right here, I've got Side Effect, Oud for Greatness, Neo, and Paragon. Other than those, and then the Club de Nuits right here, for the most part, I keep all of my very first original designer fragrances that I had before I built this collection right here at the top. It's kind of like a memory type of deal. But then, better not drop that Sauvage. You better believe I'm not dropping this baby. But the rest of these is where I started kind of building out from there. When I was developing this collection, the first thing I went for was Parfums de Marly. So I fleshed out my own little section for those where I've got Leighton, Carlisle, Harrod, all that stuff, Leighton exclusive, Haltane. I used to have more Parfums de Marlys, but over time, I just kind of realized they're not necessarily, I love Parfums de Marlys, but they don't really speak to me personally that much. So I ended up kind of giving them out. And then over here, I started developing my Tom Fords, which was kind of the second house I went for. So I got Tobacco Vanille, Noir Extreme, all that stuff, like Lost Cherry. I kind of went from there. And then the last Tom Ford I bought was Black Lacquer. Moving from there, I got my first Xerjoffs, which was Naxos and 40 knots. Fell in love, went absolutely crazy. What you can't see is down at the bottom, I've actually got 9 more. I've got the Alchemy series of Xerjoff. 9 more down there, plus a Cento, Herbapure, Herbagold. And then right here's the rest of my Xerjoffs. Then I branched to Amouage. Then down at the bottom is Manceras, Latafas, all that stuff, excess fragrances. And then over here is all my clones and dupes and Middle Eastern fragrances. So big bottle as in 100 ml, kind of, sort of. I also have a whole entire section down at the bottom of like certain Parfums de Marlys of, I don't really know. I think it's 200 milliliters, something like that. But for the most part, I stick with 100 mils, and very rarely, unless it's something like Tom Ford's, which are unnecessarily expensive for plastic bottles, very rarely do I actually get myself onto the just the 1.5s. Man, my big bottle has a few drops left of anything to say here. I also appreciate that, Love Bug. I'm glad that you're here. I know that for a lot of people, necessarily speaking, it can be boring to listen to people talk about fragrances or just jibber jabber in general. But I love it when you guys come through, and I appreciate hanging out with y'all. Which is the best stronger with you, in your opinion? So for me personally, I love the Parfum the most. I know that technically speaking, a lot of people are into intensely. I don't hear too many people talk about absolutely that much, which it is very nice. I like absolutely, but it's not my favorite. I would say if I had to rank them, Parfum, Intensely. No, hold on. Parfum stronger with you, and then a tie between Intensely and Sandalwood. If you guys get the chance to smell the stronger with you Sandalwood, it is amazing. So I highly recommend you about saw me do something horrible there. I always tell my wife don't grab bottles by the caps, especially because there's so many like Sauvage. If you was to grab this metallic cap, let me tell you something. If this was a 1.5 or excuse me, 1.7 or whatever, or 3.4, it wouldn't be that bad. But this is a 6.8, and that bad boy could be destructive. I'm thinking of getting stronger with you only because it's suited for the heat. I will say, definitely, this one is interesting because even though it's chestnut and praline, I love this because the top of it is pink pepper and mandarin. So they blended this in a way where I really like gourmandish fragrances that also have a freshness going over it that stays. I like that because it's really cool. Because these are fragrances that are crossbreeds or hybrids to me, where you can wear them during the fall and winter as well as spring and summer if you want, and it's not really going to bother anybody. Whereas, Sauvage Elixir, something like that, it's kind of hit or miss. It just depends on the vibe. Machino Toy Boy. Thank you, Sarthak, for being back, first of all. I actually got Machino Toy Boy. My buddy got it in for me through the mail, but I haven't been able to see him because I had all the family stuff going on. So looking forward to getting my hand on it. On the other hand, though, he said that it's very citrusy along with the floral notes. So looking forward to it. 40 knots, one of my favorites. Absolutely. Which Xerjoff is best and long lasting for summers. If you don't mind something being a little bit more feminine, but it's still very unisex, Herba Pura or Herba Gold, very powerful, creamy mango-y type of feel, as well as, like my buddy here said, 40 knots, fantastic for the summertime. Renaissance, fantastic for the summertime. It's very much that like a bright lemon citrus vibe, but it's more classic, traditional, almost with a bergamot lemon feel, but it's just like one of the best true lemon scents versus more synthetic feel. So something like that. It's called Stronger With You Only version. Yeah, definitely haven't smelled that, I don't think. Those red look sick. I appreciate that. Yeah, these are just my little shorts, my little gym shorts. I actually, I'll explain that later. I usually come and visit my grandma and her folks a lot of time. Visit myself into someone's will. Hey, when you smell good like that and you go around people, next thing you know, somebody's going to be like, hey, how you doing? Especially older folks, which is funny because these days, not trying to be judgy or nothing, but being serious, my personal experience, at least here in the American South, is that a lot of times it is older folks, actually middle-aged and like older folks who are willing to give compliments on fragrances, because I don't know about you guys or where you're from culturally, but it seems that younger people are more and more shy. I don't know if it's like people growing up with social media and TikTok or something. I don't know. I'm not going to hate social media because I'm glad that you guys are here and we wouldn't be able to talk if it wasn't for that. But I just personally experienced a lot of younger folks on average are more shy to actually say somebody smells nice, looks nice. My wife's always trying to like reach out and give a compliment to somebody if they walk by just to make them feel better. Like she sees a group of young girls walk by telling their dresses are pretty, because we should be doing that kind of stuff and encouraging people if you can, especially strangers, and putting some love out there. But with fragrances, it's normally middle-aged and older folks who end up saying something, if anything. How your grandma been doing? I trust you, man, because you exposed the well, thank you, Zafirian. I really appreciate that. Ankesh, thank you for being here, buddy. But yeah, Zafirian, I really appreciate that a lot. I'm not here trying to like actually hate on anyone. When I talk about TikTokers and stuff not being legit or like being honest about perfumery, there are people that I have in mind when I say that, but I'm never going to like say them out loud for any particular reason, because I don't want to start any trouble, and it's not fair. Maybe it would be good to be a little more upfront so you guys know what to expect or who to look out for. But for the most part, I just want to be honest with you guys and tell you guys how I feel about things, and like have a better education if you're going to get yourself into perfumery and fragrances. So you're not just throwing your money away just to have stuff. Because again, I cannot tell you enough. Don't do what I've done here. This is because I am a YouTuber who does fragrance reviews and stuff, okay? And I was able to do this. Please don't just try to aim to build a giant fragrance collection, because it's unnecessary. Like, you're not going to wear all these. You wouldn't even wear like a third of these if you had them. I can assure you that. It actually would really drive you crazy, especially if you're autistic or have like really bad ADHD. I can assure you psychologically, having too many options in anything in life, except maybe books, but for the most part, having too many options in anything in life isn't good, and it can really mess you up with like feeling comfortable and having good routine, which most of us need. So if you don't like me putting my thoughts out there, hey, that's okay for you, but I just want to help you guys out. So with that being said, yeah, I know my buddy here, my buddy Redbeard, he's much more south than I am. So thank you for asking about my grandma. She's shutting down even more than she was before. So I don't understand, to be honest with you, why she's still here. Everybody needed to, as far as I know, has said goodbye. I'm not really sure what's going on, to be honest with you, what the plans, what God's got going on here. But my grandma is at the point now where she apparently can't really see or identify anything going on in front of her face. She's really becoming a lot more like seemingly uncomfortable. So we're trying our best to keep her comfortable when we get the chance to do so. I'm going to go see her later on today. But it's really just been hard watching my aunt and everybody struggle a lot. So anybody, want to know about my personal updates, that's what's happening. It's been a little bit tough. As you can see, I'm a little bit not myself today, a little distracted, but hanging out with you guys always makes things feel a lot better when I get the chance to do so. So before I got to take off, like, it's always meaningful when you guys come around and we talk. So thank you. With that being said, means you won't run out as quick. I'd wear a good bit of them. What compliment you can tell me? You're an awesome person. What is your favorite from Terre de Mesline? To be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of the Terre de Mesline. The only one that I even decided to keep around is the little sample of just the original. I think this is the Eau de Parfum. And they just don't speak to me too much. I'm not entirely sure if I'm remembering correctly, but I think there's like a vetiver feel to it. If it is or if it's not, either way, it's just something about it. I don't love it. That means you won't run out. Yeah, so real quick, I also do like personally buying as many bottles as I can of not as many bottles as I can. I like buying bigger bottles for myself if it's something I really love. If it's something that's just kind of whatever, not even just for the price range, but like this Black Lacquer, for instance, by Tom Ford. I'm glad I got this one I did, because this same size bottle, which this is just literally a 1 ounce, this same size bottle costs, I think it was like $250 when I got it, because it just came out. It was like a brand new release price. And now the last time I looked this up, I think it was like $380. That's insane for this. But even if it was like $70 or $50, if it's not something that I know for sure, if I really like it and I can get it in a small bottle, I recommend you doing so. Because if you're barely going to wear your fragrance, like if you have a lot in your collection, I promise you, you're not going to burn through this very much. So definitely get smaller bottles, depending on how much you care about, how much you intend to wear it. But something like you see, I got the Sauvage Parfum, or as you can see, I got the bigger bottles, like the biggest bottles I can. These are the 6.8 ounces. No, wait, sorry. I have the 6.8 ounces. These are the 4.2s of the Jean Paul line. That's because I love them so much and I wear them all the time. So let me see here. My son is autistic, has ADHD. Well, hey, you know what? That's really, not to say like I'm glad that that's how he was born, but I'm really happy that you at least have beautiful children. Like, I'm not sure how many kids you have, but I'm glad that you have them. And like, I'm pretty sure you're probably a wonderful dad, but I'm happy you're here. How many sprays for optimal performance? Always depends on the fragrance that you're using. But to be real with you, because it really doesn't necessarily matter, things will burn off of you as they do. I would say for most fragrances, dink, dink. So 1, 2 on the pulse points, 1 on the back of the neck, that's 3, 2 on the shoulders for me personally, 1 on each shoulder, so that's 5. And then just for good measure, I like to do 1 on the wrist or the hand, so I can kind of go back and smell it throughout the day if I'm testing its overall performance, or if I really love it and just want to refresh to see how it's doing. So probably 5 to 6 for most fragrances for myself. That's probably a stupid question, but do companies do travel size sprays for big companies? So from their websites directly, some of them have teeny weeny bottles, but if you go to a website like FragranceNet, you can actually get your hands. I'll show you what they look like. I get a lot of these. They come in different colors. This is actually stronger with you. Yeah. So if you go to a website like FragranceNet or certain stores like La Perfumerie, where I went to that event the other day, they'll make them for you. But if you go to like fragrancenet.com, this is like $15 to $20, depending on the fragrance you get, even like something like Creed Aventus or something along those lines, Creed Aventus Absolute. And you can take it and spray it straight out of here. You see? Or you can just pop it out and carry it around with you. And they've got the official label on here for what it is. So yeah, if you want to get something like this, little travel sprays like this is what they're called. And honest to goodness, they last a pretty decent while when you get those. So highly recommend going to fragrancenet.com instead of Max Aroma, because you get a little bit more fragrance. And they are a reputable, trustworthy website, but you get like drastically cheaper costs. I've seen on Max Aroma some of their travel sprays just like that, but are like a little bit more of a lesser percentage of how much they give you for like $20 to $30 more per travel bottle. So definitely fragrance net's the way to go. Most good looking Hollywood actor, according to you. That is a toughie. I'm not entirely sure. Most good looking Hollywood actor. I guess if you're talking about men, no offense to anybody who likes men, man or woman. I personally don't like men that way, but I have no problem saying if somebody's handsome. With that being said, maybe Tom Hardy's pretty decent. I guess Tom Hardy's a handsome guy. Other than that, I'm really not sure. Yeah, don't know. Leonardo DiCaprio when he was younger, something like that. Which is your favorite JPG? They do decants for a cheaper price. They sure do, actually, yes. My favorite JPG, Le Male Le Parfum. I'm trying to get back to saying Le Male. I'm so used to saying Le Male, but I know it's supposed to be Le Male. So Le Male Le Parfum is my favorite, but it's pretty much tied with Elixir. But if somebody had to tell me to choose, I'd say Le Parfum. And then after that, I would go Le Beau Le Parfum. So I got 4 kids. LOL, only 2 are mine, though. Hey, that's awesome, though. I'm glad that you have 4 kids in your life. I've got 2 kids that are mine right now, and then me and my wife would like to have more at some point. But my kids are basically, one of them's a teenager, one of them's almost a teenager. Iosif, what do you think about MFK Grand Soir? It's been one of the top 10 favorite fragrances of all time. So I think it's fantastic. I think it's very expensive, to be honest with you. A little tough to recommend to people very often because of how much these fragrances cost. But if you've ever got the money set aside for an MFK fragrance, I do recommend them very much. They're not overrated by any stretch of the imagination. Their performance, I mean, my Oud Silk Mood is an extracted parfum, and it is an absolute beast. It's one of the strongest fragrances I own. But even this one, Grand Soir, being an eau de parfum, it is still an absolute monster. Like, most fragrances are not really monsters, like people say. These ones you can trust are going to do so. Drakkar Blue is fantastic. I hope you like that, buddy. Does your wife have a big fragrance collection too? Whoa, that was about to be terrible. If I had to break anything, I definitely do not want to break these guys. I've got to stop grabbing stuff by the caps. Look at me. My head's not all there today, so I'm about to break my own rules. My wife actually doesn't. I think she's got about 7 fragrances. What? No freaking way. Look at me. Even now, my own microphone's trying to escape from me, you guys. But no, my wife does not have a giant fragrance collection. She's only got about 7 because she only got into perfumery because of me. No exaggerating, even though my wife smelled good when we first met because of like body wash and deodorant and just her natural smell like from her hair and stuff. Before my wife met me, she'd never owned a perfume before, except for when she worked at, Route 21? Back when she was younger, one of those ones you can buy there. So my wife never had fragrances until we met. Full bottle running about $68. That's not bad. Thank you, Yuvraj, for being here and checking on my legs as usual. Do you think Steve Buscemi's the hottest actor? Well, hey, love bug, nothing wrong with that. Hey, can you tell me where, I'm talking about your hoodie, where did I get my hoodie, I think you said, or where is my body at? If you're asking where my body's at, that's a funny camo joke. By the way, your jokes the other day were fantastic. If you want to know where I got this is a Hollister hoodie. I've got, like, if you want to get real camo, you can get, like, I have a lot of Realtree or a lot of, I don't have any Mossy Oak, with their good brand as well. So if you are interested in actual legitimate camo companies, those aren't bad. But this one came from Hollister, where most of my clothes did. Zip, about did it. You're absolutely correct. I'm starting calling my colognes fragrances. Bro, please, the Male Elixir or Stronger With You Intensely. I'm going to tell you Le Male Elixir because it's one of my favorite fragrances of all times. It's extremely powerful, but so is Intensely, actually. If you're going to choose between the two, you can't really go wrong. But just me personally, I'm going to go ahead and let this be known. I think you should go with Le Male Elixir because it is amazing fragrance, one of the best ones I've ever smelled. It is delicious, but you can't go wrong with either one of them. They're pretty much up in the air. If this was not one of my favorites of all time, I would say it can go any direction you'd like. But thank you, Laith, for asking. Thank you for being here. As always, anybody who comes through just has any general fragrance questions, please feel free to ask. Do you have any Comme des Garçons fragrances? Oscar, thank you for being here. Thank you for asking. I do not. There's a lot of fragrances that I don't personally have just yet. I will say, for the time being, my purchasing of fragrances, except for the one that I'm thinking about doing today, is going to be the last that I do for a while, which I will say there's a handful of new ones that I really wanted to get after I went to that event the other day. But hold on, if someone blew up the bathroom and you had no choice but to spray in there, which cologne would you spray? Ooh. I would say if somebody used the bathroom, what would do the best to go over bathroom smell? Probably, to be honest with you, either Le Beau Parfum, because it's a nice, really fresh tropical smell, and a lot of times Febrezes are like that, or maybe Sauvage Parfum, because again, it's got a little bit of brightness to it, so that might be decent. Something floral, yeah, probably so. What do you think about Tom Ford Noir Extreme? Well, I gotta say, I've got it right here, and I don't. I like this as a fragrance. Like, this was very well made. It is also extremely strong, but I realized the other day I don't like this. What I mean by that is, for me personally, I will never wear this fragrance. So this is fantastically done for anybody who's looking for a very nice, rich, dark, mysterious night fragrance, something to wear out in the evening. This is beautiful, and I would choose this, but when I smell this, it puts me off. So again, very well made. Not a bad choice for anybody who's interested in getting into it, because it's super powerful, even the Eau de Parfum. I like this better than the Parfum edition. But I tried it on the other day on my right arm. I was wearing reflections on the rest of my body. I tried this on my right arm, and it really just kept putting me off for the entirety of the day, because something about it was just too rich. People say that the Male Elixir is too sweet for them, but to be completely honest with you, this was just anything chocolatey related. I don't know if you're talking about this one, but this actually does have like a mild, dark, dense chocolate feel to it. But something about the sweetness of this just kept putting me off, and I said, I can't do it. I just cannot do it. King. Just got here. Any thoughts on Ex Nihilo Blue Talisman? I think that I have not smelled it, so I'm not going to give you any thoughts about that. Okay, let me make this clear. I had my nose on it once, but I barely remember what it was like, and I do not want to tell people unless I've had like really serious exposure to something. I don't ever want to lie to you guys or steer you in the wrong direction. I'm pretty sure Redbeard or one of my buddies here who smelled Blue Talisman, I can't remember who, but if you can, just give them thoughts on nubs. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see, bro. Using a cologne in the bathroom isn't that expensive. It definitely depends on which one it is, though. Oh, yeah. Okay. You're asking, isn't that expensive? Yes, it is. Yes, it definitely is. And I wouldn't personally do it myself, but if I had to choose to do so, that would probably be one of those that I would go with. Nose fragrances. I've never tried nose before. I'm going to get my first summer fragrance. And then I say, so would you recommend Bleu de Chanel Parfum instead? 100%. 100%, Tony. Bleu de Chanel Parfum is one of the greatest men's fragrances of all time. Don't get me wrong. Now, as usual, anybody can wear whatever they want. A woman can wear this as well. But the woodsy sandalwood, the beautiful, bright sandalwood, mild cedar feel that you get from this, you know this when you smell it. That's why I love this so much. It's not in my top 10 fragrances of all time, necessarily speaking, because it would be, but there's a few others that took its place. It used to be, but Nubs Fragrances is a YouTuber. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't know. I don't really keep up with most like other YouTubers except for very few. I'll check him out though. If you guys recommend him, is Nubs Fragrances somebody that you guys think is trustworthy? If so, I wouldn't mind checking it out. Hey, Redbeard man. Oh, yeah. Redbeard is awesome. But like, so you reckon? But yeah, Bleu de Chanel. As far as summer fragrances, summer suggestions to Lathe, actually, now that this has been brought up, I would say this is probably some people think this is a fall winter fragrance, but to be honest, the sandalwood vibe of this is an incredible beach fragrance. Bleu de Chanel is called blue for a reason. I would highly recommend Bleu de Chanel Parfum or the Eau de Parfum. My favorite is the Parfum. This is a good summer fragrance as well. Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Eau Intense. But right now, I'm going to suggest to you Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Capri in Love. The new formulation, it is absolutely incredible. And then there's a lot of other options you can go with from Club de Nuit Intense Parfum, but I'm going to have to keep polishing people down here with this one. Le Beau Parfum or Paradise Garden, which is a variation on this. By the way, that bottle, super funny. My wife was asking when we were looking at the Jean Paul's again yesterday at the store. She was like, why did they make all the bottles like this? Especially if you've seen Paradise Garden. It's got a little floppy leaf down below. And I was like, I don't know why they did it, but I love the smell. So it's okay. Thank you for being here, Euphrasia. I really appreciate you, by the way. May have to get Invictus Aqua. That's not bad either. Can you wear fragrance to the beach, or is it a waste till it washes off? No, 100%. No, you can wear it to the beach all you want, depending on the composition of it. So certain ones, like I've even put this on when we went to a beach day, Bleu de Chanel Parfum. I put this on last summer when I first got this bottle. Wore it, went to the ocean, got in the ocean, came out. Now, of course, obviously my body had some of that. Where I live is extremely salty seawater. it was kind of carrying quite a bit of that. But even underneath it, when you first put these on, if they've got a good concentration of oils, or even ones like these where a little bit more watery, regardless, if it has certain note profiles in it and it's fairly dense, like for instance, if you was to slap on Interlude 53, go swim in the ocean and get out, you're still going to smell it. It's going to take a while for it to wash off. Only certain ones wash off extremely easily or even come off due to sweat, especially bright citruses. So, but Paradise Garden will last in the water. Nice. It's hot here. Yeah. Paradise Garden will last in the water. My son says it's Handsome Squidward. That's very funny. Handsome Squidward of a fragrance. I like that. That's really nice. But yeah, pretty much I would 100% say that wearing something like that, like most of the Jean Paul lines are so dense and so strong. I don't know about Le Male Parfum, which is, again, is my favorite, but I'm not sure because of the bright iris in it, but it's more relaxed and chill of a fragrance. I don't know if that one would stay on a beach day like that if you was to get too sweaty, but for sure Elixir, for sure Le Beau Le Parfum, and then as my buddy here said, Paradise Garden. Bro, can you dance for me? Sure. I mean, what do you want to see me do? I'm not going to do a whole lot. That's pretty much all you're going to get for now. We're just acting like that basic grandma dance that they do, but that's pretty much all I got. For summer, it's better Bleu de Chanel or Tom Ford Costa Azura. Okay, so that depends on the type of person you are. If you want to go between, actually, I'll keep moving side to side for you guys just for a little bit. If you want to know between Bleu de Chanel Parfum or Costa Azura, I would say Bleu de Chanel Parfum because overall, it's a little bit more youthful and mass appealing. Anybody can wear it no matter how old or young you are. Costa Azura is definitely a little bit more, I would say, again, anybody can wear it if you love it. But I would say probably for people who are roughly 29, no, I'm going to say 35. Sorry, 35 and up. Somebody who's a little bit more densely mature in age, could even be breaching into the 40s. So Costa Azura is definitely a much more mature fragrance. But if you like it, you like it. But for most people, I'm going to steer you towards Bleu de Chanel Parfum as a summer fragrance. Thinking to write a poem on fragrance. Hey, I'd love it if you did. That would be really fun. Thank you. Nice move. I appreciate that, Yuvraj. Thank you for coming through here. My son has a Squidward fragrance and takes his head and puts it in my bottle. That's really funny. And no, thank you, Tony, for being here. I really appreciate you. Like I said, even if it's not completely noticeable, maybe it probably surely is. In general, though, I'm definitely a little bit more all over the place today just because everything going on in life. But I have really appreciated you guys coming through here just to hang out, take the time to talk. If you guys want to check out my actual review video that I got coming out today in a few hours, I know Redbeard's already seen. But around 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, my comparison of Amouage's Interlude Man versus Interlude 53 is going to be coming out. So go check that out if you'd like to give me a little bit of support. Share it around. But either way, I'm just glad I got the opportunity to stream and be here with you guys. Anything spicy, I may get off in a minute. Hey, that's totally okay. I totally understand you got a busy day ahead of you, buddy. But I appreciate you having stopped through. Anything spicy like cinnamon, for the most part, it depends on how deep you want that to go because, of course, more on the cardamom sweet side, you've got Sauvage Elixir, but as well, definitely Grand Soir, very more on the expensive end, but that is a really good, mild, has like that spice type of Christmas feel to it. Now, this one's one I do not like because it's just not my style. If you want pure cinnamon bubblegum, then Rayhan's Crimson is a fantastic choice to go with, and it's also like $35, something like that. A good take on Sauvage Elixir, if you want something in that same vein, but drastically cheaper, roughly like $80 to $100, is Guisada's Ambassador Intense. Definitely has that beautiful, bro, tell me something which I can pull off one of the best bad. I'll definitely do that in a second. But Boxham, thank you so much for being here, Boxham. Thank you for commenting. Yo! I hear that, like, I don't know if you guys know who Don Vito was from Viva La Bam, but that's kind of what I hear in my head when I hear that. But definitely if you're going towards a nice cinnamon-oriented fragrance, something, again, cheaper and pretty decent is Hamrah by Lattafa. It's pronounced Hamrah, I believe, but it's spelled Khamrah. And this one's the Kawa edition. It's with a Q if you guys can see it. So definitely if you're looking for something more in that cinnamon vein, I'd highly steer you towards that. These aren't things that I wear on a regular basis personally, but they are really good fragrances and got pretty good strength and density to them. Here's one I've really been enjoying recently, although I haven't worn it a lot in the past. I've worn it, tried it out, but not as much as I have like a lot of the other fragrances. This is Dior Homme Intense. Now, this is an older formulation. I've heard that newer formulations don't have as good a performance in the overall brightness. That does unfortunately happen sometimes, especially when companies are bought out or new perfumers take over. But You might not like this, but I do. It's got a very lipsticky vibe to it. Something about this, just like Habit Rouge by Guerlain, or however you say it, some of my favorites. But these are also ones I don't see too many people talking about at this moment. But if you get the chance, go give a smell on Dior Homme Intense, because it's a fantastic designer fragrance. You got Valentino Coral Fantasy. Can you break it down how it smells? I don't personally own Valentino Coral Fantasy, but I have done a review in comparison. So not very long ago, I was reviewing I did Green Extravaganza from him versus Valentino Intense Uomo, not the Born in Roma, but Intense Uomo. And then also, again, Coral Fantasy, because a good friend of mine's had Coral Fantasy for about a year now. And trying it out, first and foremost, it has for an eau de toilette, which I normally don't steer people towards eau de toilettes just because of performance, but they do have their place for a reason. Coral Fantasy is an eau de toilette. I hope they come out with a more dense version at some point, but even then, it performs extremely well. Scent profile, though, you're getting an apple tobacco fragrance for the most part. Very sweet, delicious apple tobacco fragrance. Yet, it is very unique. That's what I really love about Coral Fantasy. I'm honestly not the biggest Valentino fan. My wife is. I find most of their series, the Born in Roma and all that stuff, even Green Extravaganza, I find them to be a little bit basic for what it's worth, and especially like their price range, but they're not that bad. And I love the bottles. It's just, it seems like they put more into presentation than most of their fragrance line, because even the Uomo Intense and then the new Extra Dose are kind of overly bubblegummy fragrances that smell a little bit too youthful and don't match the packaging. But Coral Fantasy is a beautiful fragrance, very good lasting, and just overall, it's like the main fragrance they have that is the most distinct to me personally. What's the brand with the jockey? I think that's Polo. My friends say I look like drunk Johnny Depp. You might. I'm not entirely sure, but hey, that's not a bad thing, maybe. Imagine you don't know about Ramon Ibiza. No, I do not know about that, Tony. I have not smelled that or heard that before, but thank you for letting me know, because now I might get the chance to check it out. Have you smelled Aqua di Parma Blue Mediterranean? That is a lot. That's a lot, King Sword. And no, I have not smelled that. So again, it's really cool to me that you guys know so many different fragrances as well, because even with all the ones that I've got, there's so many I've never heard of, so many I've never tried. So when you guys come through in the comments and suggest things for me that I've never heard of, it's very exciting. And if you guys are from other countries as well, like Europe, Asia, India, I've never got to, I think you asked me about Indian perfumery. I've never had the chance to smell any before, so I definitely would love to get my nose on some Indian fragrances at some point, because again, for any of you guys who don't know, if it wasn't for India, for the region of India and then Central Asia, Southeast Asia, and as well, if it wasn't for especially the Middle East in that region, we wouldn't even have perfumery for the most part in the way that we do now. So I definitely have a lot of love. I just haven't had the chance to smell any. I'm in Germany, by the way. Well, Guten Morgen, or actually, no, wait, what time is it there? Because when me and my wife went, I know it was hours ahead or behind. I cannot remember what time it is there. Here, it's early in the morning. It's like, yeah, it's 9:28 a.m. right here. So, but super happy to have you here. And it's been a while since we've been to Germany, but thank you, Pil Cosby, for coming through. I have not smelled the Batman fragrance, but no, do I like 1 Million Royal? Also, you bought Xerjoff Neo. Xerjoff Neo is a fantastic fragrance. It's one of the ones that I don't own, but I did get to smell it at the event that I was at yesterday. And I love Xerjoffs in general. They're my favorite, like one of my favorite perfume houses. But have not smelled the Batman. Bro, you know, I had my first girlfriend at kindergarten. Did you really? I did too, actually. So I'm from Spain. Tony, thank you for being here from Spain. I really appreciate that. I love getting to meet you guys from all over. Your go-to is PDM Sedley. Hey, that's a great choice. I personally am not the biggest fan of Sedley or Greenlee because I like bright, fresh fragrances, but I don't know, something about them is a little bit spritey and simplistic for me, but I also think that they are great performers for what they're worth. They're not the best, but they're pretty decent for what they're worth. So I like them. Again, it's subjective, and if they're some of your favorites, that's awesome. Have you ever tried Soaked Sun? I have not, Andrew Miller. I'm not. We are ahead, 3:30 there. Well, heck yeah. Well, thank you for being here. What is it? So just Guten Tag, I guess, but I appreciate you being here. Wie geht es Ihnen? I think is what I would say, or Wie geht's dir? I know the other one's a little bit more formal, something along those lines. But Douglas, I like older women. Hey, listen, nothing wrong with that. Do you like 1 Million Royal? I think it's really good. I prefer Elixir and then 1 Million Gold, and that's pretty much like my two favorites. But for what it's worth, 1 Million Royal is pretty nice. I like 1 Million in general. Bond number 9. I'm not really giving too much time on Bond number 9 fragrances, to be completely honest with you. And as usual, if you guys are new to my channel, I do the best I can not to really give my thoughts on fragrances I haven't really experienced. I just don't think it's fair. And I don't want to lie to you guys. Unless I have personally tried something, and even if I don't own it, unless I personally tried something multiple times on my skin and given it time to see how it performs, I don't really like giving my thoughts. I'm American Love, probably should have led with that. Hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with that. I'm envious. Me and my wife, if she was here, she'd say the same thing. Definitely envious that you live in Germany. Super touristy, but while we were there, I collected a bunch of hats and stuff. And like, it was definitely the best time in our life getting to explore around Germany. A lot of people kept saying for our honeymoon, we should go to France or somewhere like that. We even thought about going to Japan. But to be honest with you, Germany spoke the most to us, and we ended up going, had the best time in Munich and in Tegernsee, and we went out there. By the way, Tegernsee was one of the few places where we ran into like not hardly anybody, like at least trying to communicate with us. We had a very interesting experience with my broken German trying to speak to a guy in a little Italian restaurant. Guess what? He's from Italy, and he only spoke Italian and German. So all we could do was like barely, he spoke very little German, by the way. So we just kind of pointed at stuff and said, we'll go with it. But it worked out. It was a fun time. Hello, Rubus. Are you a rapper, KB? I am not a rapper. So I know that for some, by the way, KB, so probably not, because you wouldn't have asked me that, I guess. But I have a KB who's a good buddy of mine at work. His name is Dominique, but I don't think that's you. Maybe it is. But no, I'm not a rapper. So thank you for asking. A lot of people assume that because of the tattoos and stuff, and especially right now, I'm sure the backwards hat's not helping. But I'm most certainly not a rapper, and I would never pretend to be. But thank you for being here, Rubus. And my number crazy Lafayette Street is insane. Well, thank you, King Sword. I'm definitely going to have to check that out and give it a shot. Sutton Place is fire and lasts forever. Heck yeah. Well, thank you guys for letting me know. Like I said, I just haven't had a lot of experience with them. What do you think about Maharaja Doro rituals? If that's a fragrance, I don't know. I haven't tried that. But I think she was with me 15 years, unfortunately. I'm so sorry about that. I hate to hear that, Yuvraj. I'm really sorry that you had to go through that experience. Bro is not a rapper, he's a yapper. Absolutely. You got me there. My buddy Yuvraj knows what time it is. So, by the way, just to throw this out there, Yuvraj, King Sword, there's a handful of other people. If you're new here and you see these guys, these are my buddies in the chat, and they're really awesome people. Have you tried anything from Al Harameen? That's another one of those fragrance houses I have not tried. So, like I said, there are so many fragrances out there, it's insane. And again, I'm not going to lie to you guys. If I haven't tried something, I'm not going to pretend. But it's wild for me to keep discovering just how many things I've never even heard of. Like the other day when I discovered Christian Louboutin. And like literally, so the event that I went to, it was a little closed private event at La Parfumerie. And when I went, it was amazing. I got to be in a place where people like Quentin Biche has come through and visited, and like some of his different lines of perfumery, even his own private stuff that he's made for certain specific companies was there. And like, really wonderful experience I didn't meet any of these people like that. I just met other people who are in like the fragrance community or what have you in like a more local level. And also like people who've come through who make perfumes. But I saw names in this store that I'd never heard of before. Now, of course, Mind Games was there and Maison Crivelli, things like that. Stuff that everybody kind of knows. They had all the Zerjoffs and stuff. It was a fantastic experience, but there was a lot of fragrance houses that I was like, how is this possible? How are these? And these are not like underground ones either. There was just so many fragrance houses, and I was like, how do I not know what these are? And sometimes it makes you, when I'm here talking with you guys and you say stuff, I don't feel that bad because I can at least show you guys that I have like a lot of experience. But when you go to an event and people are like, have you heard of this? Hey, have you heard of this? Have you seen the new fragrance from such and such house? And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I'm sorry. So there I was, covered in splotchy eczema, starting to drip sweat from my little fat forehead. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I've never heard any of these things you're talking about. But thankfully, nobody chuckled. Everybody was very encouraging. We got to talk about stuff. But also it was cool because they were doing a fragrance swap. If you guys don't know what that is, you're only allowed to bring, I didn't participate because I didn't know it was going to happen. But basically at this place is fragrance swaps. People come in and you can only bring niche fragrances. And it can't be something that the store already sells. And you basically trade with other people, or you can make like a sale exchange of some kind. So they price your fragrances that you bring there with professionals. They tell you how much it's worth and how much is left in the bottle. And then you basically get to do a swap with somebody else for niche perfumery. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, I tried Alhambra L'Aventure Intense. That sounds fantastic. What do you think of Frederick Malle Poet? I haven't smelled that one, Sumi, but I definitely have to give it a shot. The only Frederick Malle that I've personally tried so far is Portrait of a Lady, and I think it was beautifully done. For somebody who loves rose fragrances, it was not my style because I didn't necessarily attach too much to the fruit notes going behind it the way that I do certain other styles of rose perfumery. But I will say it's probably because of that raspberry feel. But yeah, I'll definitely try out Poet at some point. Could you tell us your top 3 or 5 best perfumes from that range. So definitely going to be the Beau Le Parfum, stronger. So if you're talking about just between the past couple of years, Le Beau Le Parfum, Stronger With You Parfum, or Intensely, definitely got to be those. Le Male Elixir, I can't remember when it exactly came out. I think it was 2023, maybe 2024. Le Male Elixir, as well. Bianco Latte by Giardini di Toscana. I think that's probably a good handful of like new ones that I really love. And then Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue, Capri, and Love. Fantastic newer fragrances. But how to be a good father? Oh, that's it. Difficult and yet easy question to answer. Just love your children. Be open and honest with them. Don't try to like keep them from getting hurt as much as you can, but understand they have to learn from experience. And just be honest with them straight up. Don't baby talk them too much. A lot of people do that. They like overly like coddle their children. So let them experience things. Keep them safe, but at a distance. And as well, just be honest with them and show them love and be there for them. And encourage them if they get interested in things, even if you don't think it's interesting or you don't care. If it ain't hurting them and it's not destructive for them emotionally, spiritually, what have you, encourage them. And that's really all you got to do is just love them and be there. Not fragrance related, but is pizza and bowling a good date night idea? It is an incredible date night idea, and I highly suggest it, my friend. Suggest only one winter party fragrance: Le Male Elixir versus Most Wanted EDP. Ooh, you know what? Le Male Elixir I like more, but I'm going to go ahead and give you Most Wanted EDP for that situation intense. Can you name 3 to 5 clones, not designer fragrances, that are blind buy worthy? 100%. Hod Lodge's Island. Definitely a great choice. I'm going to say either Vanilla Dunes by Liquid Broom or Vanilla Dunes by Hod Lodge or Liquid Broom by French Avenue, or most definitely my buddies over here at Sensual Obsessions giving out Eagle Star. That's a good one. I'm going to say after that, I really do like the Supremacy Collector's Edition by Afnan. And then I'm probably going to steer you towards, I'd have to say Club de Nuit Intense Parfum, and then Club de Nuit Intense Untold. There's something I would send you to. What's your top 3 men, Sarah? First of all, it's a very funny name you got there. I like that. Kenzo Intense BDS EDP. I don't know anything about that personally. Herbagol versus Torino 21. I'm going to go with Torino 21s for more people, but Herbagol is definitely a little bit more powerful, but I'm going to go with Torino 21. My top 3 Mancera fragrances, definitely for me personally, Roses, Greedy, Oud, Lemon, Mint, and then I think I'm going to have to settle with Red Tobacco Intense, personally. But it's kind of a tie with Cedrat Bois Intense. Going to buy my first designer, thinking about YSL YEDP. Hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. YSL YEDP is a fantastic fragrance. Lucky Lime. I have not tried Chopard. And as I always say, like I said, I'm not going to lie to people and tell you guys if I tried something if I haven't. How many shoes do I own? Be honest with you, just like clothes, I don't have a lot. Even though I have a lot of fragrances, I don't collect much anything else except for books. I have way too many books, and my wife is like, we got to find something to do with these books. I'm a slow reader. I just like always have a list of things I really want to get through for specific reasons. But other than this, I don't have a lot of clothes. I don't have hardly, I think I got like 3 pairs of shoes. So my mom literally just bought me some Hokas the other day. I got back problems. I got a list of health problems, but my back especially. And I've been wearing those Asics. And my mom was like, you got to try Hokas. They're the best shoes for people and back and stuff. So we're going to see about that. But they're so expensive. I wasn't going to buy them myself. I know it sounds silly with the expenses that I've spent on fragrances, but yeah, definitely. It was like, Jean-Paul Gaultier, this is French. Yes, it is. Appreciate it, bro. Hey, thank you for being here from Poland. I really appreciate you stopping through. You're welcome here anytime. My personality is friendly, outgoing, not very masculine. Can you make a collection for me under $300 for all occasions? HSS, you're my favorite. Thank you, HSS, for being here. Do you watch? I'm going to try to answer my buddy also, Dushyant. I'm going to try to answer you here in a second. If I mispronounced your name, I'm very sorry. Did you read Game of Thrones? I actually haven't. I want to do that at some point. But I worked through Brandon Sanderson's works, and the newest one just came out recently. I haven't read that yet, but the Stormlight Archives. I really like, I can't remember the author's name at this point because he hasn't finished things in a long time, but The Wise Man's Fear and Name of the Wind series, stuff like that. Really like those a lot. So Tolkien, Brandon Sanderson, like fantasy stuff's what I like to read a lot, if not religious things. I haven't watched anime in a long time, but I did used to really love it. that Afnan Supremacy collector's edition may be too potent for me. I can definitely respect that. It is very strong. Mehdi, thanks for being here. What fragrance has the best atomizer? Most Dior fragrances have some of the best atomizers in the game to me personally. Yeah, I'm probably going to say Dior Sauvage has one of the best atomizers in the world. Also, just to show you guys real quick, and then I'm going to get back to my other buddy's question, but the Sensual Obsessions, these buddies from Florida, this one that's supposed to be an Altair take, and it's like the best one I've tried so far. Look at this. That's pretty good blast if you ask me. But Dior seems to have some of the best atomizers to me because something just being a wide spray doesn't necessarily mean a lot if it isn't done in a way that also is dense and concentrated. So I stick with Dior. That's just me personally. So what do you think of Xerjoff Naxos? It's one of my top 10 favorite fragrances of all time. Got it right here. With that being said, my buddy asked about, yes, it is King Sword. It's a fantastic sprayer. So Xerjoff Naxos, on the other hand, one of the best fragrances of all time. I absolutely love it so much. It's very regal, very wealthy smelling, but it's not that expensive. But to my buddy who asked about a decent collection for year-round, under $300, it's a little tough. But if I would probably gear you towards, again, Eagle Star by Sensual Obsessions or Hodlodge Island's Vanilla Dunes. And then Hodlodge Island as a whole would probably be a good choice to add to your collection. If you want to do something a little different, I'd say get Azur Oud by French Avenue because it's supposed to be like Oud Maracuja, Maison Crivelli. It's a little tough for a lot of people, but I actually really like it. It just has to be something your personal taste for. If you're going to stay under $300 and you want a decent collection for all year, I think that kind of covers a lot for you for the most part, except for I would recommend if you can scoop it in there, maybe get it off a discounter, maybe Eros Energy, something like that wouldn't be too bad. But if you want like a full year-long collection though for under $300 and something you're really going to attach to, it's a little tough to give you like a full guide. I'm planning to get cologne. What do you reckon I should get? HSS to start with? I'm going to go ahead and send you to either, it really depends what you're into. That's a tough one. Okay, here's what I'll say to you. Instead of telling you what to get, anybody who's just going to start getting into cologne, go if you can. Let me know if you can't. But if you can't, what is an oud? I'll explain it in just a second. I would highly recommend, if you can't do so, then I'll explain to you some stuff. But please, before you start buying anything, find out what you like I had to do when I was much younger. Go to a Sephora or an Ulta or whatever department stores near you have like designer brand fragrances. Go there and they have the little spray. It's a little intimidating. Obviously, the salesperson is going to come up to you. There's going to be other people around, but nobody cares. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And just tell them honestly, say, hey, I'm just testing stuff because I've never bought anything before, and spray stuff on there. If you're too shy, I still want to encourage you to go give it a shot and get out there and just see if you can get yourself to do it. But for the most part, before I even recommend you buy anything straight up, we really need to know what you like. But something that works kind of for everybody, Sauvage, works for everyone. Stronger With You, Intensely by Armani. A very good choice to get yourself started. Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Male Le Parfum. Very distinct, very nice fragrance to get started with. Or Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Eau Intense. And even though I'm not a huge fan, Dylan Blue by Versace or Versace Eros Parfum or Eau de Parfum. Very good choices for somebody just getting started. Yes, I know some discounters personally. Hey, that's perfect. Definitely use that Club de Nuit collection for $300 is okay. You know what? That's a good suggestion right there. Should I blind buy Cedrat Bois? Probably not. Because, again, it's like a richer, woody variation of the Creative Vintage type of DNA. I wouldn't recommend to most people that are just blind buying it because it might not be your style, and it's not the cheapest thing in the world. I would actually gear towards people like the Afnan Supremacy if you want something mildly in that same vein. They're not exactly the same, but this one, Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition, you can definitely get it for quite a bit cheaper than the Cedrat Bois. But if you want to just go for that density, go for it. But I don't really encourage people, blind buying that much. But Royale, I have not smelled that, Rubus. That sounds good. Can you recommend a fragrance with cherry notes? Okay, so I haven't smelled hardly any cheaper fragrances with cherry notes. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this is very expensive, but one of my favorite cherries of all time. So if anybody else in the chat has had any experience with cherry notes, then please help my buddy out here. The only one that I can honestly give you thoughts about, though, like I've tried electric cherry, cherry smoke. This one, though, is my favorite. It's like cherry with a nice sweet pistachio. This is Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. But again, you're looking at $250, $300. to get you a bottle of this. So it's even on discounters. So would you a little review on Le Beau Le Parfum? Sure. Le Beau Le Parfum, one of my favorite fragrances of all time. It's just a very nice pina colada style fragrance, very oceanic pina colada style. The coconut is beautiful, sweet and powerful. This is one of the strongest fragrances that I've ever owned. It really blows me away how not all fresh fragrances last very long, but this is extremely unique. For a coconut fragrance, this doesn't smell like cheap old lady's coconut. So it's about to choke me out. But this is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. Le Beau Le Parfum, you literally cannot go wrong with that. And it's just a gorgeous summertime tropical fragrance with a bright coconut and some fruity woodsy undertones. What would you recommend for direct sunlight? Something like that, actually. Le Beau Le Parfum or Le Male Elixir. But, I mean, that's just my taste. Or like Bianco Latte, something like that. Or Eros Energy by Versace. Sales lady was pushy, kept trying to push cologne on me. Straight down. That's funny. You had to do what you had to do, love bug. I already have Hawas Ice and CD. And okay, so you're doing pretty good there in that case. You're starting off yourself with a good collection, a great starter pack. Bill Cosby, thank you for being helpful. Like I said, any of you guys, also thank you for subscribing, HSS. Please, if you want to see my actual review videos, I really encourage you to take the time to help support the channel and go watch those. Leave comments, drop a like, or however people say that stuff. Drop a comment, leave a like, whatever. But if you guys enjoy hearing me talk, I'm here every Sunday and Wednesday doing these little live streams and hanging out with you guys as well. I post one video a week of like my actual reviews. So please feel free to watch them and help me out. Let's see here. The best way I found is try to do samples. Samples are also very good to go for if you want to order them off of a trustworthy website. Noir Extreme versus Noir Extreme Parfum. I choose Noir Extreme, the Eau de Parfum. That's personally the way that I normally go. But yeah, thank you, HSS, for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Duchiant. Again, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name properly. And I want to show nothing but love and respect. And it means the world to me that you guys have subscribed. And like I said, you know, the algorithm around here is a little rough sometimes. And sometimes YouTube really kind of punishes you. You do really good for a while. So I'm just doing the best I can. So when you guys watch, when you guys enjoy these conversations and stuff, it means a lot to me. So I thank you. I never want anybody to think that I want to be a YouTuber. I'd like to do this professionally, and it means a lot to me to talk about fragrances because I'm, as you can see, very passionate about fragrances. But I also don't want you guys to ever think I'm just some douchebag YouTuber who thinks he's better than anybody. I know that I'm not. I 100% don't feel that way. And when you guys come through, I might maybe know more than fragrances than you, maybe not. But I always welcome you to ask questions. Don't be shy, and let's connect. So thank you. Good morning, Saida. Thank you for coming through. Please, if you got any questions, feel free to ask. Would scented body washes and lotions interfere with cologne? It depends how strong. Like sometimes they can. Certain Old Spice body washes and stuff can be seriously strong. Definitely don't want to use scented lotion if you can help it, if you plan on putting a fragrance on. I know a perfume no woman can resist is secret. Well, tell me what it is, buddy. What fragrances do women find attractive on a guy? Honestly, it really just depends on the woman, to be completely real. The dog barking outside? Yeah, I guess so. I'll suggest you try Kenzo. It has Akigala wood. Akigala wood is a fantastic fragrance. Now, looking for a long-lasting summer fragrance, Xerjoff 21 or Louis Vuitton Imagination. Xerjoff 21. Again, you know, everybody's opinions are different, but for me personally, I'm going to steer you towards Xerjoff every time. I'm just not a big fan of Louis Vuitton fragrances. They're made decent enough, but they're more expensive on average, and also, for me personally, their performance is not quite as good as Xerjoffs are. Xerjoffs are very dependable, and Torino 21 is a fantastic choice. My favorite is Torino 23. My wife's favorite is Torino 22, but either 21 is fantastic. What's my favorite cologne? That would be Le Male by Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Male Le Parfum, and it's tied with Le Male Elixir. Personally, right underneath there is Oud Silk Mood by Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and then Naxos by Xerjoff. So those are my favorite. JB, also thank you for asking. Thank you for being here. Again, anybody who comes through, please feel free to ask questions. You're more than welcome. What does Versace Eros smell like? Ronald from McDonald's, thanks for coming back through. I'll answer that in just a second. But I just want to go back. I say Vulcan Few is a little bit disappointing, just being completely honest with you guys. This one's been being pushed super hard. So for anybody who's new here, you're going to hear me say this a lot. Sorry for people who've been here before. I am nobody's, like, I'm not the best fragrance reviewer in the world, whatever. Obviously, my quality of like my content is not that great, sure, whatever. But as you can see, I've had a lot of exposure to fragrances. They're a huge passion of mine and have been for many years. So when I say this, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being real. I care about the money you guys spend on your fragrances. I don't want you just buying crap. Nobody's paying me or sending me this stuff for free. So too many TikTokers keep hyping this up. I just want you to know, in comparison to God of Fire, this is a better option because God of Fire is extremely expensive and it's just not worth it. I don't even really love God of Fire DNA. If you do, that's fine. I have a friend who does. He smelled them both. I've smelled them both. I think that overall, if you really want that DNA, then this is a better option for you. This is still pretty dang expensive for a dupe, to be honest with you. The thing about TikTokers, though, is they've been pushing hard on the performance of this, and it really ain't that great. Again, your mileage may vary, but I bought this brand new direct from the retailer, from the actual makers, French Avenue's website, when it was brand new coming out. And I want you to know that it sticks to the skin decent enough. Like, it stays as a very close skin scent for probably about 6 to 8 hours. Again, it's a very close skin scent. But as far as like coming off of you, I saw way too many creators trying to push when they first got theirs because they're sponsored and what have you, and they get commissions. They're like, it's 12 hours just coming off your skin. No, it doesn't. Literally for about an hour and a half, if that. Maybe 2 hours if you're in a cold environment, like a air-conditioned building. It'll come off about this far. It is absolutely not a single person. I wore 10 sprays of this the first day because I really want to just blast it out. Very first day I tried this, 10 sprays, almost nobody smelled me even from a distance, like from about 5 feet, 4 feet. They had to get right up on me to even notice anything. It was gone in a matter of no time. So I don't recommend this as a monster, but it still smells nice. It's just not my style. And I appreciate you guys for trusting my opinion. I just want to be honest with you. So just throwing it out there. Again, everybody's, feels different about stuff. What's your take on Clubbed in the Weed by Armov? I think it's fantastic, especially the parfum version. Louis Vuitton fragrances don't last. 100% Xerjoff is exactly where it's at. Louis Vuitton fragrances are decent enough, but like I said, they just, for how much you pay, it's not worth it. Go get yourself Le Beau de Parfum. Way cheaper, monster performance. So that's what I can say to that. To my buddy Ronald from McDonald's, definitely want to tell you, what does Eros smell like? So Eros is a woodsy bergamot type of fragrance. Very lemon bergamot. If you don't know what bergamot is, maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's hard to explain what a note profile is if you've never smelled it. But with that being said, bergamot is, if you ever get a chance to go get like Earl Grey tea, it is like a type of citrus and citrus rind as well as what they normally use that scent profile. It's kind of like a cross. How do I explain this? Almost like green tea scent blended with limey orange, like limey mandarin sweet, those cutie sweet oranges, whatever. So a bergamot with a little bit of lemon lime type of scent blended very well, elegantly over like a woodsy feel with like an almost creamy, soft woodsy feel going on underneath it. I know that sounds kind of gross how I'm explaining this. I'm sorry. This is one of my favorite scent profiles of all time. I will say, because the price difference isn't that much, get the Eau de Parfum, the EDP, or the Parfum Edition is my absolute favorite. Me and my wife's favorite, just because it's stronger, but also has an even better scent profile. The original Eau de Toilette is nice, but I don't really like it that much. So if you're thinking about Eros, though, this is a monster. The entire Eros line, Energy, Eros Flame, and then these bad boys, they are like complete beasts that do stick to you forever. So like I said, the title of this video is Designers Are Better. Again, that's not literally true because they're all subjective, but designers are on average more mass appealing, and they also have a few nuggets in there, just like this one, that are monsters for the price that you pay. This is a 200 mil, 6.8 fluid ounces. And I think this was like $100 on FragranceNet, and then I got even a full price bottle, and I think it was like $160, something like that, for a big boy bottle. That's not bad at all for something that lasts forever. I've blacked out for the last 2 minutes. Can you go over everything you just said? I would, but I don't remember what I said at that point. I can see Hamra and Hamra Kawa. Hamra is a very good fragrance. I prefer Kawa. It's just a little bit more, less too sugar cookie for me. It's a little more cinnamon sweet, but in more like a gourmand way and not like a cheap way. But Hamra is a good choice for most people, especially for the price range. It's a decent performer. What is your top citrus fragrance in your opinion? I'm going to say top citrus fragrance. If it's like a true to the core citrus fragrance, ooh, that is kind of tough because it depends on how you mean by what you want out of citrus. Maybe this one, because again, bergamot is a citrus feel, but again, you could also go in the direction of Dolce & Gabbana, because Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue has a citrus feel with the rosemary. But I don't know, actually. I probably would say Versace Eros, maybe Eros Energy. And then as well, this one's a tough one because not everybody would like this, but Renaissance by Xerjoff is an incredible citrus fragrance. But again, it's not something everybody would like because instead of being more overly mass appealing, it's more true lemon scent. So I love it. I like what I hear. I'll try it. Definitely give it a shot. What's the most expensive fragrance you have? Also, K Carter, thank you for asking. What your last recommendation was? Good. D. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Are you an Aventus guy? I am not. To be honest with you, I'm not a big Aventus guy. Some of the profile I can enjoy, like Eros Energy is a lemon balm version, whereas Club de Nuit Intense Parfum, I do love that. The original Aventus is nice. So I'm not saying I don't like it in the sense of like, is it nice? I just don't necessarily support Aventus because Creed fragrances and their reformulations. All right. A lot of times people will give rumors about stuff being reformulated and not performing as well as it used to. Sometimes that's true. With Creed, unfortunately, it's very much the case. They still smell magnificent. They just, for the price you pay, are not really there. So I typically steer people towards Club de Nuit Intense Parfum, or again, Eros Energy, or if you want something a little bit more regal, Cedrat Bois Intense. So with that being said, I'm trying to keep up with you guys. What's my most expensive fragrance? I always kind of go back towards Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait de Parfum because in and of itself, by volume, that's pretty much one of the most expensive ones that I have. Do you like Agua de Joe Parfum? That is actually the primary, next to Profundo, that's the primary one that I actually like. Cedrat Bois or the Intense? For me personally, the Intense. What is the gold Jean-Paul? Zeke, thank you for being here. So the gold one, you're talking about the all gold? Because there's the gold and like, I guess, brownish black stripe. That's the Male Elixir. And then this is the new Male Elixir Absolute. If you want to go back and look at my channel, I did a review of this one like about 2 months ago. When it first was coming out, this one I did like maybe 9 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. These are some of my favorites in the entire world. This one is basically that, except it's got like plum added to it and a mild adjustment of the formulation. This one is honey, lavender, benzoin, tonka bean, tobacco type of scent. Light on the lavender, mostly honey to sweet tobacco leaf. This one's that same kind of concept, except again, it's got a little bit of plum added to it. So it's pretty good. I actually can tell you this, by the way. So thoughts on Xerjoff Neo? It's a fantastic choice. You cannot go wrong with Xerjoff Neo. I don't own it. I own a lot of Xerjoffs. I don't own that one, but I have got to try it out at the event that I was at the other day in La Parfumerie. So it's a fantastic choice, and you can't go wrong with it 100%. And La Capitale as well. I think that's how you say it. If not, I'm sorry. Now, have you tried Sospiro Vibrato? I actually did. I tried the entire Sospiro line the other day, and I want you to know they are not for me. They are incredible fragrances. Here's what I didn't know. Just going ahead and throwing this out there. They had a falling out with Xerjoff. I was very curious. Why do the bottles look like knockoff fuzzy versions of Xerjoff? I didn't know the history that there was working together collaboration apparently at some point, and then they had a falling out and it wasn't pretty, but apparently they're okay now. But they kept a similar look of the bottle shapes or what have you, just like as a general inspiration. At least that's what I was told by the people representing everything there. I don't know if that's actually true. So if I'm lying or if they gave me incorrect information, I'm sorry. Please don't be upset. But with that being said, I tried their fragrances. I think they are excellently made. But in comparison to Xerjoff's, I think they were a little bit more on the basic blend style, a little bit less density. Zeke, man, just thank you for suggesting. I really appreciate suggesting. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. Although if you guys ever do have suggestions, please feel free to give them to me. But what do you make of Hot Lodge Dune and Vulcan Few? I'll definitely get back to that in just a second. Does that say Scotty? I'll get back to you on that in just a second. But yeah, like I was saying, Sospiro, nice. They have a lot of options. They're good, like the Godfather and all that. I don't know how to say it in Italian, but I wouldn't personally buy any of them because they're not even that cheap. But so just subscribe as well. Love your content. Thank you, buddy. That means the world to me. Like I said, if anybody likes these hangouts that we do, I'm not normally doing these on Mondays or during the week, except Wednesdays on my normal day off. Right now, for any of you who don't know, my grandma was in hospice at my aunt's house. She's been in the process. It could pass away at any time, but it's been a grueling process for the past 2 weeks. I don't know when it's going to happen and why she's even still here, but we hope for the best for her. But it's been tough. So I've had a lot of time off work, going and visiting and stuff, spending time trying to support my aunt and everything. So that's why I'm doing these streams a little bit more regularly. But I normally will only do them Wednesdays on my day off and Sunday mornings. But I appreciate you guys so much for being here. It really helps if you guys go watch my actual review videos, leave your comments and stuff. But when I do these live streams, I just want you to know, anybody's always welcome here. We're always welcome to shoot the breeze. Ask me anything you want. I want this channel to grow so I can do this more full time at some point. But even if it gets to that point, even if somehow I got 1 million subscribers one day, I'll still always just want to talk to you guys and get to know you. So please never think that I know more than you, or that I'm better than you, and that you can't ask me questions or give me suggestions, because that's not how life works. So thank you. With that being said, HSS, thank you for saying that. Protham, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Ligma, fun name. Like I said, really fun name. And H-Town Mud, awesome name. Thank you for appreciating my input. I really appreciate that. What Casa Morati fragrances? I don't know, Bill Cosby. But I appreciate you guys. Do I have Prada? I don't anymore. I had Prada Ocean, but Prada fragrances are just not necessarily my style. Can you explain the differences real quick to my buddy who asked, Matt W, about Torino 21, 22, and 23. So all the Torinos are completely different fragrance profiles. I can't remember their notes, and I don't want to just take a pause too long to look them up, but I will tell you. So right away, this is very much like a beautiful, luxurious Sprite kind of fragrance. Imagine Sedley, but no offense, Sedley doesn't smell cheap. But imagine if Sedley was like the cheaper scented version or formulation of this. Torino 21, absolutely fantastic. Well done, but it's more like a Spritey type of fragrance. And then Torino 22, my wife's favorite. Ooh. Actually, let me refrain that. My wife's smelling Torino 24 the other day at the event. That's her new favorite of the bunch. But this one is like a, how do I explain this? Sweet, bright, floral, woodsy. Woodsy florals with a bright sweetness. My wife loves 22 the most. I, on the other hand, love 23 the most. Not just because the bottle's super cool. It makes me think of 90s Pop-Tarts. Oh, this is fantastic. Sorry for the weird noises, you guys. Torino 23 is like an absolutely monster, beautiful fragrance. I don't know how to explain it, except it kind of reminds me, but again, you guys probably haven't smelled this either. Xerjoff's Opera, which is one of my wife's favorites that we have. Comes in a black bottle. Torino 23 is my absolute favorite. It's like an awesome classic men's body wash fragrance mixed with masculine rose and sweetness. This is one of the greatest fragrances, like hands down, of all time. Just my personal opinion. But Torino 23 is like, Torino 24, really nice too. But again, my wife loved it, but I still prefer 23. Let me see here. The 1 Million's Elixir Parfum or Gold better than Le Male Elixir? Not to me personally, Parziv. I like Le Male Elixir more, but 1 Million's Elixir Parfum and Gold are fantastic. I think they smell really close. Feminine Collective. They are a bit different. Customarities owned by Xerjoff are really good stuff. I have to check them out. Thank you for suggesting. What do you think of Lacoste, Mr. Camacho? Lacoste Blanc, it's a decent fragrance. Not like, it's one on the cheaper end, not too bad. I think it's good for a lot of people to have if you like just getting into fragrances, or if you just like that fresh profile. It's not for me. Just like stuff like Mont Blanc Spirit, Legend and stuff like that. They're not for me, but I think they're really good, especially for younger people. But it's all up to you as well. Can you suggest one winter fragrance that has the most nuclear projection? Oh, yeah, 100%. Excuse me. So, other than something like Amouage's Royal Tobacco, always got to go for Sauvage Elixir. If you want like an absolute monster fragrance that has some of the biggest projection you'll ever get in the universe, Sauvage Elixir. People say it's overrated. I don't care. Sauvage Elixir is an absolute beast for the summertime. Or Le Male Elixir. Huge monster. Summertime, Le Beau de Parfum. Very, very powerful, beautiful summer fragrance. If you want something a little bit more relaxed, but still really good performance, Eros Energy or Eros Parfum. Have you tried God of Fire? So I have tried it. If so, how would you rate it? I love your streams. Thank you for being here, buddy. Really appreciate that. Thank you for coming through. I'm grateful for any of you guys who even take the time to watch. It means the world to me. Again, I always ask if you guys get the chance, please go watch my actual review videos. That's where like YouTube gives me the most rewarded support. These help a lot with my channel, but please go watch my reviews if you can. If you're willing to do so, it means a lot to me. But with that being said, God of Fire is just really decent, but for the price that you pay, I don't love it. But it's pretty decent for what it's worth. Again, I don't want to lie to you guys. It's super expensive. It can be a little hyped up. That and its dupe are just not necessarily the best. Like most, they're not. The look of God of Fire, the bottle looks so awesome. It should smell a lot more unique and distinct than it does. Just letting it be known. But that's my thoughts. what do you think about Aqua de Joe line? I think it's okay. I think that Profundo and then the Parfum, or used to be Profumo or whatever it was, I think that they are the better versions. But again, Aqua de Joe is not my favorite, but it smells a little too youthful for me, like certain things do, kind of like Rosassi Hawass. But for a lot of people, it's a good choice. Thank you, Matt W., for subscribing. Means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. I dig D&G, the 1 Intense you like. I do. I have the 1 Intense. And it is a very good choice. A buddy of mine, Nelson, who used to work with me at the company I'm at now, he used to, that was his favorite fragrance, and he wore it all the time, which is funny because I didn't find out until I bought it myself. And then he came out to me and was like, hey, don't you do fragrance reviews? I said, yeah, why? And he was like, that smell you wearing, is that something you just reviewed? And I was like, no, not yet. But I just got it the other day and I'm checking it out. It's Dolce & Gabbana's the 1 Intense. And then he went to his locker and came back and was like, this is what I wear every day. I was like, uh-oh. But nothing wrong with wearing the same thing, though. It's awesome if you and your buddies like the same fragrance. What do you think about Percival? I've got the big bottle down there right now, actually. It's one of my favorite Parfums de Marly's that I really connect to. I think Percival, I keep forgetting about it, and I really regret that. Percival is one of the best summertime fragrance choices. And from all Parfums de Marly's, especially if you put it against like Sedley and Greenlee, it's like a very beautiful monster for a summertime fragrance. Mephisto in 1888. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. Phil Cosby, thank you so much for the suggestions. Anybody, like I said, anybody who's got suggestions means a lot to me. I like original Aqua de Joe. See, for me, I didn't grow up with Aqua de Joe, so it's not like the most nostalgic thing in the world for me personally. That's probably why I don't attach to it too much. Because again, Dolce & Gabbana light blue, that's what my brother wore. Davidoff Cool Waters. Calvin Klein the 1, that's something I grew up with. So stuff like Aqua de Joe is not something that I just had an attachment to from youth, but I still good. It's just not for me. I'm wearing Rosassi Hawass Ice more often, but it's because I want to finish the bottle. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I totally understand people powering through bottles. If I didn't have the collection that I have, and for the reasons that I have it, I wouldn't do what I do. But normally, like people around me in my life, I like to give them stuff as a gift. I will say this. Rosassi Hawass Ice to me is better than the original Rosassi Hawass. Just my personal opinion. I don't wear any of them because they're not my style. Not that there's anything wrong with them. They're just more youthful to me and also mildly more synthetic. I always call things cheaper, but I think that might be offensive or even disrespectful perhaps. But they're just more of an overly synthetic profile. Not that that's always anything wrong with it. But the Hawasses are definitely not my favorites. But the ice I do like more, even the bottle and everything. It's just a little bit more of a something for me. But Hawass Fire and Hawass Black really do it for me. I like this. I wouldn't rebuy. Me neither. I went to the mall when I was younger. I like the original Tommy as well. Nothing wrong with that. I need to get some of the Rosassi fragrances. Definitely get the ice if you're going to go down that road. Which is your pick for a date night rose oud combination? That's an easy one. 100% for me. No getting around it. One of these is not a rose oud combination, but for me personally, well, me and my wife have our date nights. Like, well, I guess you mean for you guys, but Oud Silk Mood. If you get your hands on this, let me make this very clear. If you first smell Oud Silk Mood, the eau de parfum, or especially my favorite, the extrait de parfum, you might think off the rip, is this kind of a medicinal rose oud scent? Like, will anybody even like this if I have this? It's extremely powerful, but will people like it? Yes, they will. It might not. Somehow when you first smell it, you're like, I don't know, this is very distinct. I don't know if I can pull this off. You can, and you should. If you ever save up money and add something expensive to your collection, skip over Baccarat. Don't do that. If you ever save, I do love Baccarat, but again, just if you want something expensive and fantastic and you only need 2 to 3 sprays, again, nobody's paying me for this. I could not hope more that one day, even though it'll never happen, I'd need like 10 million subscribers. I hope that one day Maison Francis Kirkjohn's house decides, hey, you know what? Let's give this man free fragrances. But if anybody was going to give me free stuff, I would love like 30 bottles of Oud Silk Mood. Now, don't get me wrong. Oud Satin Mood is its twin. It's fantastic, different, or its cousin basically, but it's not the same. That one's a little bit more spicy cinnamon. This one is straight up medicinal, like lavender-like rose with oud notes going underneath it. So mostly rose and then medicinal lavender feel going over top of oud. And this is one of the most beautiful fragrances I've ever smelled in my life. And again, most fragrances do not actually, like, you have to put on 6 to 10 sprays to really get them to project. I kid you not, even on skin, this radiates off of you multiple feet, and it takes hours before it dies down to within a foot. of just 2 to 3 sprays on your body. So Oud Silk Mood, fantastic rose oud fragrance. I absolutely could not tell you how much. It's like a 53 out of 10. It's 100 out of 10 for me. But something also nuclear, but much more chill, is Rose Incense by Amouage. This is just pure, beautiful tube rosy type of feel, but with incensey smokiness going on underneath it. And again, all day laster, one of the best rose fragrances of all time. So Oud Silk Mood Extrait de Parfum by Maison Francis Kurkdjian, or Rose Incense. By the way, really appreciate you guys watching. I also want to say how it's funny that I always tell you guys I'm not going to do this stream for very long, and next thing you know, it's an hour and 40 minutes. So them oud moods are definitely winners. Yes, JJ, they are. Yo, been missing you recently. Did a test run of Amouage Memoir Man yesterday. Pretty good. I'm glad you like it. When I went to the fragrance event at La Parfumerie the other day, I actually got to try Amouage Purpose for the first time. Oh, I just want you to know it was one of the greatest things that I've ever smelled, which also is funny because the scent profile very similar to it was, how do you say this? Une nuit nomade. Jardin de Misfa, something like that. I know I'm butchering that, but Une nuit nomade Jardin Misfa was one of the greatest things I've ever smelled in my entire life. And I can't wait to get a bottle. Although Maison Crivelli's Saffron Secret became one of my favorite fragrances of all time, as well as the Jardin de Misfa. And they are $340 a bottle, so that's not going to happen. And we're talking like the smaller bottles. But when I smelled them, I was like, holy cow. But Amouage's Purpose was there, and it was beautiful. Here's what made me upset, by the way. Now I know that I'm country. I'm from the United States, the South, and I'm a cheapie. Other than fragrances, I like to try to get a deal. They were telling me that because they're not selling it anymore, they were going to be getting rid of their Amouage Purpose bottle. It was literally in their like getting rid of bin. And I was like, if you're going to get rid of it, I'll take it if you don't want it anymore. And they're like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. And I was like, what are you going to do with it? And they're like, we're just going to dispose of it. I'm sure somebody who works there is going to take it home. But I was like, please, if you don't want it, you guys got they literally had 50 different expensive fragrances in their get rid of bin. And I was like, I really would like to have that one, please. But they said no. So it is what it is. What can you do? But is Zara's Tender Amber and Antique Brown good? Fortunately, I've not smelled that one. So as usual, if you're new here, I don't want to give opinions about something I haven't really tried because I don't want to lie to you guys. It is cheap, but I fell for the hype. Hey, man, nothing wrong with that King Sword. Yeah, let's see. Bro, Purpose was my Saturday one. Definitely love it. It's fantastic. Which country makes the best fragrances? Italy or France? Ooh, that's a tough question because I love fragrances from both. So this is tough for me because Xerjoff is one of my absolute favorite houses who makes the most can't miss fragrances, but they are just one perfume house. If I had to say, Dolce & Gabbana as well, fantastic. I think France, though, has the more consistent amounts of perfume houses coming through. But then again, a lot of the times it's like the same perfumer, kind of like Quentin Biche, is popping from house to house. Even he's worked with Amouage out in Oman in the Middle East. So I don't know what I'd say. It's tough for me. I think that I'm going to maybe, I don't want to choose. I actually don't want to choose. I would maybe say Italy because technically speaking, some of the stuff that comes out of there is a little bit more dense and long lasting than a lot of the French perfumery, which is more elegant, but also a little more dissipating. So I'm just going to say I can't pick between them, to be honest with you. Brunito, that's a hard question. Yes, it is. But that was a very good question, though. So thanks, D and Cosby, bro. Hey, thank you for being here, buddy. JPG, what's your honest Le Beau flower? Because I smelt it and I went to heaven from how good it was. So Le Beau flower is immaculate. It is beautiful, and I don't have it, but I would like to. Like I said, I'm planning on getting Paradise Garden probably today. I would say France. That's a good choice. I think overall, maybe France would have to take the cake. Like I said, Jean-Paul Gaultier is my overall favorite fragrance line. Sauvage as well. I love Sauvage. But then again, Versace, right? I love Versace, so it's really hard to choose. Rose, your Dove, Amber. Thank you, Cheesy Core. I have not. I love your name, by the way. Italy for you, Bill Cosby. Very good choice. It's all over the place. Oud. So is Oud extraordinaire? Amber Oud. Thank you guys for suggesting those then. Thank you, Cheesy Core. I'm going to have to check that out. I'm sure they're probably a little bit higher on the price point, but I appreciate you guys letting me know overall. And like I said, I love hearing you guys' opinions. So I'm going to be ending the stream here very shortly, because I do have to get trucking. I got some stuff I got to do. obviously for family purposes. But with that being said, I'm super grateful for having had you guys come through. It really means the world to me every time I get the chance to connect to y'all and to talk. And again, it's not going to be usual that I'm going to do these as frequently as I do, but I am going to still be doing my normal Wednesdays and my normal Sundays. Now, when my grandma finally does officially pass away, it's very possible, depending on the circumstances, I won't be doing my normal lives at that point, but we'll see. Extraordinaire is like a fruit bomb, a bit too overwhelming. Maybe I'll check that out. I also really get a chuckle when oud is put in the name of things, but like it's barely like a part of the actual overall composition. But then again, that's the same thing with like oud, silk mood and stuff like that. And oud, lemon mint, oud, blue notes by Mancera. It's like the lightest background accord going underneath it. All right, and best wishes. I was but thank you, Bill Cosby. That means a lot to me that you took the time to even be here, to hang out, to talk. I just can't thank you enough for you guys who actually even take the time to hang out. So I'm going to go ahead and say this before I hop off of here. This is the part where usually I always end up losing people. Sometimes I don't, but this is the part where I usually end up losing people, and it's okay if you go. But before I get off, I believe in God, and that means the world to me. My personal life experiences, my story. If anybody ever wants to take time to go through it, it'll probably be a super boring live stream for a lot of people, but my journey is my journey, and where I am today is truly like a miracle in my life and for me. So I always end my streams. I respect all belief systems. Okay, I do. I've read all the religious texts multiple times throughout my years of studies. I got a handful of friends who are scholars, and I spent a lot of time learning and training under them for free when I could. But it means the world to me to get to connect to people no matter who you are, where you're from. My job is not to ever try to like push you out of your belief system. I don't want to do that. So I personally am a Christian. If you're not, that's totally okay. Like, I'm not here to try to push you or convert you. On the other hand, I am going to pray with you guys, and I always end my streams with a prayer. So if you want to go, if you don't want to be here for that, and you just want to come back next time during my streams, that's perfectly fine. While I pray here in a second to end my stream, feel free to continue to ask questions. If you want to completely ignore that, that's fine too. But this is who I am. It's the most important part of me in my life. So just being here, connecting with you guys, talking about my biggest passion, which is perfumery and music from time to time and other stuff. That's my big thing. But also just getting to share love and like be a part of community the way I believe God made us to do, and get to share that from God the way I believe that we're supposed to do. So if you're Muslim, you're welcome here. And you're welcome to pray with me. If you're like Hindu, Buddhist, what have you, you're welcome to pray with me and be here. If you're an atheist, whatever, if you think I'm a complete moron for believing in God, you're also welcome to be here and pray with me. So again, my goal here is not to push that stuff on you guys. I'm just letting it be known as I end my streams. It's what I always do. So real quick, I will say you should add Ultra Male in your collection. So I don't really like Ultra Male. I like, but it is discontinued. I still know where to get bottles of it. I just don't personally want to have one at this point in my collection, because I also have what's supposed to be a clone. It's not as perfect of a dupe, but it isn't bad. Lion by Rayhan. If you want that Ultra Male kind of vibe, but just a little bit different, this is a good take on that. But Ultra Male in and of itself is just something I'm kind of letting phase out. And I was going to get a bottle, but I changed my mind. It's also cheap to get one if you can. Kenzo Om. Stay on. I've never smelled that myself. And as usual, I don't really give thoughts and opinions on fragrances I haven't personally tried and tested, because I just don't want to lie to you guys and be disrespectful. But anyway, like I said, as you see, I do the best I can talking about fragrances, coming here and hanging out with you guys. I love getting to hang out with you guys and make buddies, make friends. And you guys are welcome anytime. Give me your thoughts. Give me your suggestions. Give me your questions. But now, Boss Bottled Absolute. Boss Bottled Absolute is a fantastic fragrance. Naxos, one of my favorite fragrances of all time. As you can see, I've got 2 bottles over here. Naxos is a beautiful honey tobacco, like tobacco leaf, so it's sweet tobacco and not like smoked tobacco. It's perfect. 10 out of 10 fragrance, for sure. Great performance and longevity. With that being said, feel free to post your comments as I close this out with a prayer real quick, and then I will answer a few more questions before I actually end the stream. Probably going to take it all the way to the 2-hour mark. So here we go. Father in heaven, thank you so much for another beautiful day, getting to stream with all these wonderful people coming through. Like, I try my best to make sure I keep myself in check and trust whatever you want me to do here, and reach these people, speak with people, and just have a good community, share love, talk about the beautiful creation and art that you've allowed through us to do of perfumery and other aspects of creativity in this world and art. I love getting to connect and have community, and just these wonderful people who have questions from all over the world. It's a blessing to me. I even get to do this. So again, I just hope that you continue to help me, and I pray you help me keep myself in check and not make this about me or my ego, and just more about the art of this all, and to connect to people and see how they're doing and just make new friends. So like I said, I always ask you to keep me in check. I thank you for the beautiful things you do in my life. I pray that the people watching this, whoever they are, wherever they are, and whatever they believe in, that they understand and come to know, if they don't already, that they have purposes, not just one, but they have many purposes in this world. They matter, even if they don't think so. If they've been down and out lately, that's okay, because that's a part of life, is to get broken. But you're here with us, and you sustain us through every day, whether we choose you or not. So I love you, God. I pray for your will be done in our lives, and that these people come to know who you are, that they come to just have the love and peace in their heart. And I pray for their peace and happiness and sustainability in their lives, and that we continue to ignore the superficial as much as possible and go after what really matters at the core of it all. So thank you, Lord. In the name of Jesus, I love you. I thank you for your sacrifice. I thank you for your mercy and grace. And again, I pray for each and every person watching this, no matter who they are. I love you, and we love them. And in your name, Jesus, amen. So again, thank you guys for having come through. I appreciate you guys so much. Luke, thank you for being here. Naxos is my signature fragrance. That's a perfect choice. Naxos is absolutely amazing for a signature fragrance. It's a little expensive for a signature fragrance, but I will say you don't need to spray very much to get the job done, because Naxos is not one of those things you want to just drown yourself in. Which Le Beau? For me, Le Beau Le Parfum, but Paradise Garden is an absolute fantastic choice. And hello, Pixel. Thank you for being here. But like I said, Luke, I appreciate you stopping through. Like I said, this channel, Rafan, thank you all as well for stopping through this channel. You know, I love fragrances. I obviously would like to be able to have a career out of this at some point, to be able to connect to you guys and also make a living. I do this, and also while me and my wife are working on growing her business. But as well, this just isn't all about me. It's about the fact that you guys are out there as well in this community, and I want to build this up with you guys and talk together and connect. So it means the world to me when you guys come through, when you guys are just a part of the prayer with me. Like, that's the most beautiful thing. I just this morning, again, not trying to push anything on people or be offensive, but like literally just this morning, I stopped by at the parish, and when I walked in, there was a young Spanish man, probably in his 20s, could have been in the early 30s, he looked really young. But as soon as I knocked and they opened the door, and I walked in, I actually feel emotional when I talk about this. So sorry if you guys want to laugh, whatever. But I saw this young dude, like he was in his work clothes and dirty, about to take off for the day. And he was down on his knees, just praying. And I could hear him praying and whispering. And then he just got up and was like giving me so much thanks. And he had tears on his face. And like, he's really just in it. His heart's like for God. And he just has so much gratitude in his life. And I'm just thinking, this man is about to go work hard, manual labor, do whatever he's doing today. But before he stopped, at like 6 a.m., he's here at the parish just praying and giving thanks. And that was so beautiful to me, to see that kind of like adoration and thankfulness and stuff. And like just to be alive and just thanking God for this day that he's got ahead of him. So whatever struggles are happening, like, it's beautiful to me. So again, if you guys don't care, that's okay. Brunito, thank you for being here. It means the world to me. If anyone loves Naxos, Bois 1920 Elite 4, an excellent. Thank you, Rafan, for suggesting that. I don't know if that's an expensive one or a cheaper one, but I really always appreciate when people have recommendations and are part of the support for one another in this community. That's beautiful, and I love it. So, like I said, if you guys got any more questions before I go, I'm just going to try to see if I can go a few more minutes. Maybe not. We'll see. But at this point, actually, real fast, while you guys, if you think up anything, I'm going to message my wife back real quick. I'm going to do a voice talk, so don't chuckle. Do we want to go for sausage? So my wife asked if we want to go to, we live in the same neighborhood community as her parents, and she asked, if we want to go for sausage tonight. We should eat on the way home. I think we'll do something on the way home. I don't really know if I want that, but maybe sometime this week we will, because I do miss them. How funny would it be, though, if like we were like, sorry, we can't make it tonight, because we actually are going to be doing some stuff. How funny would it be if they were like somehow watching this right now and they're like, oh, I saw you not come. So that would suck. But if you guys are watching, which I know they're not, because they're not great at technology, but I love you guys. But do you like Torino 22? Absolutely. As you can see, I've got Torino 21, 22, and 23. And I talked about these earlier because a good buddy through here is asking what I think about them. And I absolutely love 22. This one's my wife's personal favorite of the Torino line, although 23 is my personal favorite, but it's a very good, sweet fragrance. Thank the Lord for our daily blessings that go unnoticed. Absolutely, Marco. I thank the Lord every day for our little blessings that go completely unnoticed, which happens all day, even in the most frustrating, painful parts of the day. Hatafa Fakar, black 2 days ago. It smells fresh to me, but is it just me? What is your take? So For me, for car, I got the whole line. I don't know if you guys can see. I think these are all that there is. I've got all three of them. And to be completely honest with you, a lot of things Lattafa makes are hit or miss. Some of them smell pretty decent for the price range. They're obviously cheaper fragrances. Some of them smell really good for the price range, but some of them also are like noticeably on the chest. So like Eternal Oud's really nice, but then again, ones like this, very fresh, very bright, but to me, just a little bit cheap smelling. And again, it's a cheap price point, but like, I don't know, it's just not my personal taste, if you will, but I think it's not horrible. But gonna try Le Beau Le Parfum today. Hey, please go ahead and do it. It's a fantastic fragrance, and you absolutely cannot go wrong with Le Beau Le Parfum. I love it. I wear it every chance that I get, like during the summertime. I haven't done it this summer just yet though, because I've been sticking with Sauvage Parfum lately, and then Le Male Le Parfum. But Le Beau Le Parfum is an absolutely powerful, beautiful fragrance choice. As a matter of fact, I haven't even chose my fragrance of the day just yet. Forgive me real quick, guys. I'm going to take my hoodie off. I'm going to sit my microphone down. But again, comment and ask questions if you want. Uh-oh. I pulled my shirt off. Yikes. Definitely don't want to do that. Anyway. Yeah, as I was saying, I haven't even chose my fragrance of the day just yet. Sorry if this makes a crazy noise. So we'll probably do that together. What do I want to wear? Honestly, since I haven't done it in a while, I think I'll wear Le Beau Le Parfum. Because you know what? No, hold on. Actually, I'm not going to fully put anything on my body because I do intend, like I said, to get Paradise Garden. If I do end up doing that today, I think I might make that my choice for the day. So instead, I think... Actually, you know what? This might be good for a comparison. I'll put Le Beau Le Parfum just on this arm. Pink, and on my hand. Just so I can, like, when I get the other bottle, if I do go through with it today, I'll have it as a good comparison. Wow, what did I just do with it? These little guys disappear so fast and so easy. But, oh, man, this is such an incredible fragrance. I don't even know how much of this have I used just yet. Okay, I still got quite a bit left. I was about to get a little worried. Sorry if I blinded you guys there. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this up, though, because I'm about to take off. But like I said, I've appreciated you guys stopping through so much. It means the absolute world to me to get to talk with you guys, to get to hang out. And I love you guys very, very dearly. I might as well go ahead and put my little silver play button up, too. By the way, again, if you guys have appreciated the videos and you'd like to go support my reviews and so forth, also, it's not like it was a professional video or nothing, but I did do a little video about my silver play button. I got this a few weeks ago, but I've done a few videos and kind of deleted them. But it was, as you can see, damaged during the time of receiving it through the mail. I don't know what happened, but I also discovered that it costs money if I want to replace this, and I'm not going to do that. But I'm still happy to have it. It might not look pretty, and I'm not going to hang it up on the wall, but I am still proud to have it. And who knows? Maybe one day, if it's the will to be done, maybe one day I'll end up having 1 million subscribers. We'll see if we get there. But either way, super happy to have this. But I posted a video just showing it in general. And if you guys wouldn't mind going, supporting that, it's like 2 minutes long. That'd be really appreciated. Anytime you guys go watch my actual full, like regular videos, it helps support the channel. Don't forget to post that comparison video. Oh, okay. So you're talking about when I do a comparison between the Beau Le Parfum and then the Paradise Garden. I will definitely be doing that. If I pick it up today, I'll 100% be doing a comparison video because I love this one. This is a beautiful, powerful fragrance, and it literally does last like all day. You got to be careful with Le Beau Le Parfum, to be completely honest with you, because if you don't want this to be something you smell multiple days in a row, do not spray this. If you live like near the ocean, and even on a hot day, you might wear a hoodie, or if you live anywhere, or if you just wear hoodies during the summertime, be careful if you plan on wearing something multiple days in a row. Do not put this on if you don't want it to stick to you like super glue, because the Beau Le Parfum is an extremely powerful fragrance, and it's one of the strongest ones I've ever had like stick to clothing. Sticks to skin all day too, but you've got to be pretty for sure you want to actually keep smelling like this because it lasts forever. So with that being said, we've got about 2 minutes left. If you guys have any more questions, or if there's just anything you'd like to say before we go, like I said, I appreciate y'all for having, I broke my bill. No, I didn't break it. I appreciate you guys for having stuck through with the prayer. I appreciate you guys being here. It means the world to me. So please feel free to ask 1 or 2 more questions before I go. And once we hit 2 hours, I'm going to go ahead and close it off. But again, for anybody who don't know, I'm Andrew Douglas Lane, aka Douglas Moon. This is my channel, the Douglas Moon Fragrance Channel, where I review fragrances and give you my honest thoughts about them. I'm not sponsored by anyone. Not a single one of these fragrances come free. I pay for them myself. And I always just want to tell you guys the truth and be real with you all about stuff, because your pockets matter to me, because nobody's buying these for me. So nobody's buying these for you either. And I don't want to lie to you about fragrances so that you spend money on something that just ain't worth it. Do you like Gentle Fluidity Silver? I've actually never smelled it. If you want to have a good day, hey, bless you too, buddy. Sarita, thank you for stopping through. I don't know where you're from or what have you, but I hope you have a beautiful day wherever you are. So again, I got time for one more question before we go. But yeah, definitely highly recommend the Beau de Parfum for anybody looking for a beautiful, wonderful summer fragrance. So thank you guys so much for popping in. It's meant the world to me to hang out with you guys. So I guess we're just going to ride the clock just for a couple more seconds. So again, Douglas Moon Fragrance here. Please go check out my actual fragrance reviews. I appreciate so much that y'all came through. And thank you guys for your information and your suggestions as well. So God bless you guys, and I'll see you. Oh, we're almost there. So pretty good. Andrew, see you later, man. You guys have a good one. Thank you so much. Bink.